Oh. Oh, okay, we're getting... Oh, all right. We're live.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello. Excellent. Hey.
Hello.
Welcome to the Lucky Hit Podcast number 71 on the 18th of May 2020. I'm the Gagaman.
I'm CherryT.
I'm Murry Curry.
I'm Shelved Gamer.
I'm Hunk Thunder.
And I'm Captain Clean Hands, reminding y'all that when you wash your hands, you should always use soap. All right? I don't want to see
I see.
washing you with just water.
So it's like an old movie now. So we're doing the credits at the start now. Is that how we're doing it now? And then,
Yeah.
We're everything's backwards,
listen,
like old movies.
Listen. All right? This is very important. When you wash your hands with just water, that's like thinking you can get away with not showering just by spraying Axe on yourself. That just makes you even more disgusting.
All right.
That's leaked for this side of the pond.
Yeah.
All right, well, I got that joke out of the way. Hi, my name is Elk.
Hey, yeah, so Lucky Hit Podcast, video games. We talk about video games, so I guess we shall talk about what we've been playing, I guess, because that's how we usually start these things. I guess I'll go first, because I'll be very quick, unless I start ranting about my Joy-Con, because my Joy-Con is basically rendering everything unplayable. So yeah, for example...
There's always some kind of rant.
Basically, yep, especially for me. Yeah. But, like I've been... Basically, my left Joy-Con has had Joy-Con drift for the last probably 3 months, and I've just been kind of putting up with it and then just trying to like clean it occasionally and just try and sort it out. But it just finally come to a head today where like, that's it, I'm going on Nintendo's repair service and I'm just going to send the thing in. Because I was playing Asphalt 9, there's all these like little daily, like all these challenges you got to do, like time-based ones, and most of them, the time on them as is incredibly tight. You literally have to drive perfectly and not touch anything. Don't touch a single side, don't touch a car, don't touch any of the rival cars, just drive beeline to the exit. Don't even do like any fancy like jumping on ramps and spinning in the air, because that actually slows you down. You have to just beeline for the thing, boost as much as you can, collect every single boost you see. And even then, almost every time, I always lose by like a fraction of a second. It'll be like, oh, beat this in 40 seconds, and it'll be 40.2. But yeah, I was about to finish one today, and there was a bus in the road, and the Joy-Con drift went, oh, there's a bus there. I'm just going to drive you head first into that bus and make you lose it. And I almost threw the Switch out the window. Like, I was furious because it was like my best run of that challenge up until that point. Basically, the Joy-Con drift, it just feels like comic timing. Like, it picks the most inconvenient time to do it. It literally waits till something comes along. Like, there's levels that are set in Rome. And obviously you've got all the lakes and that. And anytime I'm driving next to the lake, it'll go, oh, I'm just going to throw you in there. And just stuff like that. It just waits until there's something that's going to inconvenience me and waste 10 seconds. And it finally came to a head today. And I was just like, I'm going to send this thing in. I've already got it boxed up for tomorrow. I was looking on Nintendo's repair service on their website. And they've got all these little windows of like, oh, have you got a screen issue? Is the touch screen not working? Is there all, all this kind of stuff. But they don't have a Joy-Con drift thing. You have to put it under other. So it's like they're acting as if it doesn't exist. And
Did you try calling their customer support phone number?
No, I just put it straight through as like just getting it repaired and just send it in and see what happens. Because I'm really hoping they will just replace it, or even if they charge me, if it's only a little amount, like a fraction of what it costs to buy a new one, that's fine. But I just don't want to buy a new one. I don't want to buy their, let's be frank, shoddy controllers at this point. I feel like they've really dropped the ball this gen, which is a shame because the Joy-Cons are fantastic controllers. They're basically the Wii Remote and Nunchuck.
They feel great.
Yeah, they feel amazing. I love the comfort of them. I love the fact that they're split like the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, but without the wire in the middle. Everything about the Joy-Con is fantastic, except for the fact that they just got terrible, cheap plastic parts in them, like my previous Joy-Cons on my previous Switch, which I ended up managing to sell after like modifying it. The bloody lock that locks it into the console just like disintegrated because it's just cheap plastic. And I found like these metal ones you can get on eBay, and you just replace them in. It's like, why didn't they just put metal ones in it? It would have saved. They've saved about 5p by not putting like metal locks in it. You know, they just put like these cheap plastic ones that just wear away.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
God's
man.
sake.
Just,
I hope that's not picking up. Sorry, guys, but my son's got a little keyboard in his bedroom, and it's got a bloody Rick Astley button, and he keeps
Oh
pressing
my
it.
No, I
Oh,
can't
you still
hear it.
have it.
no, thankfully we're not getting rickrolled.
You still
He
have
actually
it.
does
Oh,
have
that
a,
is,
That
Yeah.
keyboard.
that is funny.
Oh yeah,
I
know
can't
the one.
hear it, but that is funny.
I'll tell you what. Sometime I'll get a clip and show you. But yeah, I'm just hoping, just let me know if it comes up because he's supposed to be asleep.
He's playing with Rick Ashley keyboards.
Yes, sorry about that. Just hope
That's
it
all right.
doesn't come up.
Do we know the cause of the drift yet? Is it like
It's something to do with like the
contacts?
contacts and like again like little bits of plastic inside it just sort of break up over time, and like little fractions of plastic just got wedged inside where the like
Oh no!
analog stick
That
is.
what does it?
And the worst thing is, apparently, even though it hasn't really been out long enough for people to really see yet, because it usually takes anywhere between like 8 months to a year to show up. Like with mine, it's taken about just over a year to show up. Apparently, the Switch Lite might have the same issue.
Oh, you're screwed then, aren't you?
You're really screwed then because you can't even
man.
replace the consoles. You just the controllers. You have to send the whole unit in.
I mean, I think Switch Lights are terrible anyway. It's like, have a Switch with none of the features that make it cool.
That make it a Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean,
Yeah.
it is really
Well-
nice looking, but yeah, I don't really.
Well,
Yeah,
a
I
lot
don't
of
know who
people
it's
bought
for.
one, so a lot of people would beg to differ.
Yeah,
I
I know.
suppose, but you know, Nintendo.
I also know a lot of
products.
people who have waited on it as well, who said they were going to get a Switch, but that's all they can get, so they're waiting.
Yeah, they're waiting to see if they end up having the same
Because you
issue.
can't get the originals at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
If Nintendo didn't make the light, those people would be they would have lights on the shelves, and they would have original Switches on the shelves, and they probably would have sold them.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Um,
because I'm sending one of my Joy-Cons in, obviously it's gonna maybe impact. At first I thought, oh god, how am I gonna do next week's make it double stream, because we need obviously CherryT's using her Joy-Cons to do the Toy-Con stuff, and I need analog sticks and the D-pad for Mario Maker. I was like, oh god, I might actually have to delay this until they return it, which could be weeks. I don't know how long it will take, and maybe even months. I don't know. And I was really worrying about it. And I started tinkering around with my M30 controller, and all I can say, for all the issues I've had with Nintendo's controllers this gen, thank God they patched in that button configuration thing.
Yeah.
What a lifesaver that is. Basically, in Mario Maker 2, you have to use the D-pad to select all the items and all the stuff on the side, and then you use the left analog stick, or the right analog stick, I think, to move the hand around. So obviously, I haven't got any controllers that plug into the Switch that have analog sticks on them. So I was like, what am I going to do? I can't make levels in Mario Maker. But then I thought of something. I thought, oh, I'll go into the customization thing where you change the buttons around. And I thought, what if, because obviously there's like 6 face buttons on the M30 controller, what if I just make one of those buttons up on the D-pad? And sure enough, that worked. Because like now, all I have to do is press C on my M30 controller and it will go up to their menus, and then I can just use the D-pad to move around all the items. So it's a bit fiddly, but I've got it working. So hopefully it should go ahead next Saturday and be I'm just gonna have to get used to the slightly funny controls.
Yeah, I love that function to be able to remap. With
I know
There's only one caveat though. I wish it was that you select the controller, the button you want changed, and you just press what button it is on the controller.
Yes, because it's very confusing otherwise. You're sitting there trying to remember what one's what. You're like, what button do I want to change with this one? Especially when
M3...
Go on.
No, okay. No, I was just saying, because the M30 isn't necessarily the same on the Switch as it is on a normal Switch controller, so you're kind of like having to do mental gymnastics.
Yes,
to map it.
definitely, because obviously A is B and B is A and X is Y and Y is X, because for some reason Nintendo thinks the alphabet goes backwards. I'm not sure why. and Yeah, there is like a shortcut you can do on the M30 controller that just swaps them, but I found it's better to just swap them with the controller configuration now, and then sorted. I have that as like the default one. And the other thing that's really good about it, as soon as you reconnect that controller, it remembers the config you had attached to it and just plants it on immediately. So yeah, in terms of what I've been playing, it has mostly just been what I've been playing on streams, because when I haven't been playing on streams, I've been either tinkering around in Mario Maker, trying out other people's levels, and playing a bit more Spelunky, really. So that's pretty much me. Don't know who wants to go next.
Mind if I go next?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Well, you can take a wild guess what I've been playing.
Was it Digimon?
Chin Pokemon Knife.
Chin Pokemon, yeah. Chin
Yeah.
Pokemon Shoe.
Yeah,
Shoe edition.
Out of a Chin Pokemon Knife and Chin Pokemon Fork.
Yeah.
And then
That's
the one that's going to come out soon, Chin Pokemon Spoon.
Don't you mean in Pokemon's Fork? Spork?
Oh, the Spork one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Forky's in that one.
Yeah.
Forky from Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, come on.
It's a question. Yeah, it's the same old, just hopping between about 5 different games, I suppose.
5 different Pokemons.
And I've actually bought a copy of Pokemon Y that should be coming soon.
Oh, have you? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, right. So you got another one to plow
Yeah.
through.
Wait, you said Pokemon Y, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The 3DS one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
They're
that's the one I've been playing from that particular generation too.
Oh,
Is
okay.
Oh, okay.
Pokemon Y.
Yeah.
Where was that one set? Is that the one that's in not France?
I think so. Kalos.
yes,
Yeah.
Not France.
Not France.
Unlike Rhythm Heaven and the Emperor's Treasure, which is set in actual France.
Yeah. Anime France. Professor Layton France.
Yeah.
So you're pretty much getting close to almost completing Sword, aren't you?
The Pokédex in Sword. Yeah.
Almost got everything in that now. So I
Yeah.
guess.
So
Turn off for using the keyboard.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Sorry, I only use it.
it'll be a case of whether or not I still want to continue streaming that or not, and or hold it off until the DLC comes out, which should be something later on in the year.
Yeah, I can't remember when it was coming out. In a couple months.
About
I think?
6 weeks.
Oh,
6 weeks time.
okay. Well, that's handy then, because there is also that Gigantamax Meowth raid coming up next week.
Oh,
so
yes.
it might be worth streaming around that point.
Oh,
you can
yeah,
get the long
certainly.
cat Meowth.
Oh, I would love.
It's literally a long cat Meowth.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be how you can keep it fresh then. If they're going to keep doing like regular raids and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they do any like events and stuff, that would be.
Yeah.
They have done since like the launch of it, but yeah, it's just not well publicised.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, if it, you could like keep us on like tap of that kind of stuff, so we can sort of jump on that when it's happening. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good excuse to continue streaming that game.
Mhm.
Anything else you
Cool.
wanna put out, or?
That's it for the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Good ones.
Pokemon.
Pokemans.
Chin Pokemon Bucket and Chin Pokemon Spade.
We could do this all night.
Yeah, it's going to go on forever.
Well, I can go next. I mean, I'm literally playing what I've been playing recently right now.
Oh, okay.
I've been playing Elder Scrolls Blades on the Switch, which I've been waiting for
Ah.
ages. They announced it like last E3, I think.
Yeah.
And they said it was gonna come out around about sort of October last year, and then it just didn't. And I'm also still waiting for Elder Scrolls Legends, the card game. That was supposed to be ported to the Switch as well.
I thought that was coming first.
Yeah, so did I. 'Cause They announced that. They announced that the E3 before. I remember they had like, the drunken mud crab on the trailer and everything. I was like, yeah.
And people actually liked that game, so
Well, that's the thing. I've been playing Legends for a little while. I was mainly playing it on the Steam version, but I've got it on my phone. But I don't really like playing it on the tiny screen. It's just irritating. And I mean, it works fine, but yeah, it's on phones, it's not great. It's better. It's more of a tab game, really. And yeah, that was the case with Blades, it came out on mobile devices quite a while ago, like probably around about that last E3, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was one of those games that when it first came out, it got really rightfully panned because it was a typical play to win thing. Basically, what it is, you're building up a town. It's been like a burnt down town. You're sort of building it back up to its former glory, sort of thing. So it's a bit like My Life as a King, which I really love. It actually is exactly like that. Only you go off and actually do the quest. It's got
that's not a bad start though for a premise.
That's the thing. It is actually that entertaining because it's just like what it says on the tin. It's like bite-sized Elder Scrolls.
Dark Cloud.
Yeah, well, kind of. And yeah, I actually really like it so far. I've reached that. I finally got to that point where, I was following the early reviews of Blades on mobile, and there is that point where you hit that obvious paywall. It's like because it had a really stupid system. You find chests on basically every little quest, whether it's a small quest or a large one. You always find at least these little wooden chests, and being a loot-driven game, the chests have 4 different levels of rarity. But in the original game, for no reason whatsoever, they would put a timer on how long until you can open the chest. Even though you found it. Yeah, even though you found it right there and then, it will be put in your inventory, a massive chest that's like bigger than you.
So you just have to set up a tent next to it and just like camp there for the night before you can open it.
Well, no, I mean you carry them with you, but they'll all just have these timers.
And obviously, lug it on your back.
Because I haven't played the original, I don't know how long the timers were, but I heard they were pretty dire. Like the gold chests and the elder chests would take like days to open, unless you use the special currency.
Of course,
the special gems, which you find very little of, or at least you did. I'm actually finding quite a decent amount at the moment. But yeah, again, they've had to rebalance it because the game got rightfully hammered. And for the Switch version, they've coincided it with the latest update for mobile, where they've basically just gotten rid of all the bullshit because no one's buying it. That simple thing where I think I'm the resident guy who actually likes Bethesda in this in the Lucky Hit.
I like some of the stuff they publish.
Yeah, exactly. But even I won't defend the decisions around Fallout 76. I won't say 76 is a bad game, but I will say it's a dull game. I bought it pretty close to release, played it for a little while and got pretty bored. And I haven't played the Wasteland. But yeah, basically I won't defend a lot of their decisions, but it does seem to me that there is a pattern with ZeniMax, who obviously owns Bethesda, and that whole family. I think they're the ones who come down with these really stupid ideas because Bethesda, let's face it, look at them throughout the history of their studio. They've always had their heads screwed on. They don't do this kind of stuff and then keep doing it, if you know what I mean. They're usually quite good at this.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean.
It's a new development, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I again, I don't want to sound like just a fanboy because, well, let's face it, I am. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I do feel like there's some suits upstairs that are making these really bullshit decisions, and a lot of the time they try their best to sort of fix the situation. I think that's what they've done with this game. So there's no counters on chests anymore. Like you just open them like you would do in a normal game. Right. I'm finding these green. I think they're just called gems. Like the currency. I'm finding them quite a bit. Like basically, I've been playing it for the last not even week now, I don't think. And I've got, if I just press start, I've got 490 of these things, so that's pretty good. 100,000 gold, and I've got my character about level 16. The leveling up starts to slow down around about this point. But yeah, what you do is you build structures and upgrade them to level up your town. And then when you level up your town, you can build more stuff. And you can actually, some of the in-game quests are locked behind your town being a certain level. Because again, you're building up the town to its former glory. It was like a Blades stronghold, basically. So I'm really enjoying it. It has gotten to that point, like I say, with the paywall, because even though I am finding these chests and I'm opening them straight away, the resource I'm running out of at the moment is copper. I need copper to build like basically most of the structures at this point in the game.
Yeah.
And it's quite rare and I'm having to do a lot of quests to sort of slowly build up this resource, and that's how this game works, you know. But yeah, without going too much into it, I'm just going to say that in gameplay wise, it is quite fun. It doesn't play like a typical Elder Scrolls game. It's actually got a lot more balance and strategy behind it, because you do, you know, it's one of those PvP games. You go in the arena and you can fight other people. Not that I really do that myself, but yeah. So you know, like it's very staggered, like, you know, with your upgrades of your gear and stuff like that, and your skill set. It's very, you can't really, what's the word? Like, you can't really overpower yourself in one area too much.
Yeah.
And it's got some really cool little moves that I kind of want to be in other Elder Scrolls games, because again, it's more strategic. Like, there's a brilliant move,
cool.
a brilliant move called, like, I think it's called it's like dodge or something like that. And you get like a dodge strike, and you get an adrenaline version where when an enemy attacks, you use this skill and you sort of jump back, avoid the attack, and then you hit back. And how well you time it, you get health back. And I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Games that have perfect guard and perfect.
Oh yeah, that's always been your jam, hasn't it?
I love all that. Yeah. Yeah, like, do you remember in my stream last night? I got really excited. I was like, "Take a drop!" It's my favorite thing in the game. You sort of perfectly time this counter, and you send people flying down the street. So yeah, it's got some really cool things like that, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it at the moment. But I will let you know another week or so down the line if it starts to really annoy me with the like grinding and the rare material. Taking too long. I think I might still be like ready for another massive sort of pay/time wall on my hands.
Yeah, because I definitely get spurts of that on Asphalt 9 as well. Like, you feel one week you'll be playing it, it's like, oh, I'm unlocking loads of stuff, everything's just flying into my lap, and then the next week it'll be like, well, I can't accomplish anything. Like, I'm just like stuck behind a wall. Like, they won't let me do this mission because I haven't got this car, and I'm never going to have this car because I haven't got the blueprints for it, and I'm never going to get these blueprints because they're rare as goose eggs, golden goose eggs, or whatever. And yeah, you get that. Like, I've put 90 hours into Asphalt 9, and that's only 14 hours off from Spelunky, and Spelunky is my favourite game of all time. But I definitely wouldn't say Asphalt 9 is one of my favourite games of all time by any means. It's just incredibly time spongy. You just end up putting in like half an hour to an hour every day on that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what's going to happen with this and me. Like I say, I'm literally playing it right now, just grinding for copper.
Does it have like little daily things to do?
Yeah, you have daily rewards, which is just a free thing, which can sometimes be quite cool. And it has these recurring like challenges. So it's like, kill a certain amount of enemies with this attack, or kill a certain amount of this type of enemy, do this many jobs, blah blah blah. And it has like an endless loop of recurring like just little quests that you can do, like just kind of randomized quests. That kind of gets a bit dull, but see, at the moment I've got a list of like over half a dozen of the main quests, but they're all currently too difficult because I need to go and grind. Basically, I need to go up a few levels, get better equipment, blah 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 blah. And again, sometimes they're locked behind your town leveling up, and then that's tricky because you need to farm for resources to build a couple more houses to get your town leveled up. That kind of thing. I mean,
I know what you mean.
That is literally the point of the game, but. Well, we'll have to see, because at the moment I'm still on that. I've hit that first little wall where I'm having to slowly get copper, but I bet you any money the next resource up would be even worse, and then maybe the next one up from that would be a nightmare. So I think a little bit more time, and I'll be able to tell you whether or not it is fun to start with, but is it going to be fun in the long term?
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't just become a slog over time.
Yeah, that's the question, really. So I'll have to keep you posted. But I do recommend it. One thing I will say is the game looks lovely on the Switch. It looks really nice. Like environments look great, but the people look a bit goofy.
That's the game, isn't it?
Yeah, NPC. Yeah, absolutely, down to a T. Yeah, but NPCs and even your character looks really dumb. But the environment looks really nice. Like, especially since you got to think this was on mobile devices first. It's pretty good.
How does it? What are the controls like? Because obviously it was touch based on phones, but how does it? All just buttons,
thankfully
or?
it's not. it's actually quite comfortable now. Like what you had to do on the original game, I assume you can still do the touch stuff, but I just don't really like. I don't in this kind of game. I don't really like to do that. So movement's all done with the analog sticks, and that works fine. And basically you have to do like left and right combos with your attacks. Like basically like you're just doing 1, 2, kind of combo thing. They've done that on the ZL and ZR, and that's really comfortable now.
Oh, cool.
You sort of hold the attack down, let go, and then quickly switch to the other side. And that works a lot better than scraping your finger across the screen a load of times. I don't like action games on touchpad; it just gets on my nerves.
I just don't really like touch controls for almost any kind of game, unless it's like, for example, like Mario Maker. I think I still feel like that game works better with touch controls. Like I still think the Wii U version controlled better. Even though you can do touch controls on the Switch version, obviously you can't play it on the TV then. But yeah,
I did like using the stylus with that. Yeah, but I at the moment I'm really enjoying it, but I am cautious in the back of my mind. And then other than that, I've just been playing all the other stuff that I've mentioned for the last month.
yeah,
it's all the same stuff.
Yakuza 6, wasn't it? You just started a little while ago.
Yeah, we did I mention that last? I think I mentioned it last week.
I think so, maybe.
Well,
either way,
started Yakuza 6.
Yeah, we started that back in when it came out. Well, actually a little while after it came out, I grabbed it, and I sort of did the first chapter. Kind of by accident, I wandered too close to the story flag, but I wanted to sort of load the game up and have a little mess about in Kamurocho doing some of the side quests, but I didn't want to get on with the story until back at the start of last year. I was like, well, I don't know in 3, 4, and 5 how long it's going to take for them to come out. I didn't know that they were going to hit us with this amazing remastered collection. But I said to myself, I won't play 6 until I play through the other games. Even though 6 does have a thing where it, there's a thing at the start where you can get caught up. I didn't want to do it through text. I wanted to experience the games first. So I finally done that, and me and Fousey and Prince, we've been playing through it, and we got onto about chapter 6 now, which is it's probably, if I had to guess it, it's probably about a third, maybe a little bit more than a third way through the story. So 6 is a little bit shorter in comparison. We're going to be chipping away at that, and we might even finish that one a lot. Well, I think we will finish it a lot quicker than 5, because 5 is
5 was massive, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, we've done 2 streams like in the last 2 Sundays, and it's nearly been about just like 8 to nearly 10 hours worth of footage, and that was like nothing.
That was just like doing little percentage things, wasn't it?
Yeah,
just like 0.05% for taking a photo and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun though. Last night went really well, I think. Although I think you might have noticed I got a little bit frustrated by the
end. Yeah, I totally noticed.
I was a bit snappy at the end. I felt
that one guy that kept showing up, like the bald guy with all the tattoos. He kind of looks like he's from Devil's Third. He kind of looked like that guy.
Yeah, he really did.
I thought he kind of looked like Rodon from Bayonetta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it just got to the point where 5 has the worst random encounter rate in all the games. Like, there was just too many people.
It was constant, wasn't it? Every time you were walking down the street, especially if you were drunk, like they were just hounding you constantly.
By the end of the stream, I was getting so many random encounters when I just wanted to get on with stuff that I actually got really, really irritable.
I think there's an item you can equip in that game.
There is
lessens the encounters.
There is.
Did you not find it?
I think I have it as well. I'm just being too stubborn. Because at the same time, I do like to level up. Yeah, I've got weapon skills to level up and stuff like that. But yeah, I kind of wish I did just put it on last night because I was fine at the start, but when I was trying to just finish off with a couple of light activities, I was like, it took me forever to get down the road because I had like 3 or 4 fights in quick succession.
Yeah.
And because it's end game, those fights can take a while where they keep calling for backup, and you got like archetypes, enemy archetypes. They could just dodge everything you throw at them. And I was just, it was going well, but that last sort of, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes, I was really irritable. I was ready to go to bed. But 6 is the other way around. 6 has actually got a nice relaxed encounter rate, and not only that, but you can see them a mile away. They're on the map if you get a certain turn. you can see the groups on a map and you can avoid them.
Oh, nice. Handy.
Yeah, and 6 was the first game with the Dragon engine, so the frame rate's kind of all over the place in that game. They started to, even with Judgment, it's still a little bit up and down because the Dragon engine, it looks stunning. The game looks incredible, but yeah, it's quite taxing on the.
There's a lot going on, isn't there? A lot of physics.
Even on Pro, yeah, it does. You do have moments where not so much lag, but just the frame rate can really dip. Even in cutscenes sometimes as well. And when you've just come off of a HD remaster collection where everything's running 60 and smooth as butter, and then you go on to this game where the frame rate's all over the place, it's really jarring. It takes a while to get the hang of it.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. I really can't wait to see how the Xbox Series X handles Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
Considering that's
true,
also a Dragon engine game.
That's true, yeah. It might be able to do it at a solid 60.
Yeah. Maybe they might. Yeah, maybe they might be able to eke out 60 FPS, even if it's not constant.
Yeah,
that would be interesting to see. Yeah, I'd also like to have a release date for the PS4 version.
Nice to play it. Yeah.
And not to mention, I think Yakuza Kiwami 2 is already on Xbox, so that's gonna have to work on the Series X as well.
Yeah.
So I think the PC version of that game can run at 60 if your computer can handle it.
Well, yeah, PC versions of games, like if it's powerful enough, anything can 60 on your PC.
Yeah, so the Series X should be able to handle it.
Well, fingers crossed. Yeah,
hopefully.
Just want a release date now. I mean, current events have obviously put a bit of a spanner in the works of the localization.
They've delayed a lot of things, but so far they're committed to being right on time with the new consoles. We'll see how long that lasts.
Indeed. So that's been me. Again, hopefully I'll be able to say more next week. But maybe next week I'll be like, yeah, the game's a slog, it's getting on my nerves. But we don't know yet. We don't know.
Oh, I don't think you'll be saying that. Trust me.
Okay. Well, that's promising. Because I do like my Elder Scrolls. The only downside is I've now got 2 Elder Scrolls games I'm doing dailies on, and if they actually hurried up and put Elder Scrolls Legends, that'll be 3 games. With the only plus side being I can literally do my dailies on Blades while also playing ESO on the Xbox, because I could just have it in handheld mode and just do what I need to do there. I mean, it'll be a nightmare, but yeah, sure.
Multitasking Elder Scrolls.
So yeah, that's me.
All right. I guess I haven't been playing too much, so I guess I'll go next.
All
right. Okay, so I've been playing Deception on the PlayStation 1 a little bit. It's really good. I don't know if you.
Deception?
Yeah, Techno's Deception.
Oh wow! Huh.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you know that franchise.
I've heard.
I know about it. Yeah.
Of it.
Yeah. So it
sounds familiar, but I can't say.
Well, there was a 4th one that came out on Vita and PS4 not that long ago.
Hang on, is that the game with the traps?
Yes.
Oh no, I do know it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yeah, I know the ones.
It's a good game.
Home Alone simulator.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. That's totally what it is. Yeah, I know the series. I totally know what you mean now.
Yeah. So the first game is first person, and it's a bit clunky because it is a PlayStation game, but it's quite fun. It's quite tense. So yeah, it's not a lot to say really. You go around, you place traps. There are traps to kill enemies and traps to actually trap them. And trapping them, you can either use their soul as gold or use it as MP, which is used to pay for more traps. So but you get a bonus for all kills or all captures. So it might just be best to kill them all. So to get the gold, and the gold you can use the gold to pay for MP. So it's kind of a bit pointless. I haven't played too much of it, but I do like it. It's just that the AIs, you think you're going to get them on in a trap, and they just won't. They'll just jump out the way, and I'm just like,
no bullocks.
How to lure them in?
No bullocks.
Yeah, basically, like you'll put like a cage that drops from the ceiling, and they'll look up at the last minute and jump out the way. And it's like, I don't know how.
I'm not a mouse. You can't
basically
trap me.
And it doesn't explain itself particularly well. I'm sure it's one of those games that when you know it inside out, it's really fun. But It takes 9 blocks on the PlayStation memory card, though.
Whoa.
It takes
Wow,
a lot.
that's a lot for
because
PlayStation.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's
So you
because
can't even have 2 files.
no, and it's
No.
because you can add rooms and take away rooms from your castle, so the castle is completely modular.
That sounds cool.
It's pretty cool. It has a default design, but you can literally just like pay to add rooms and all that, and it's pretty advanced in that way.
That's probably why it takes so many blocks.
Yeah, exactly. So I've played a little bit of that, and I've been playing a bit of Lords of Thunder.
Nice.
On the PC Engine. I know it came out on the Mega CD as well. I hear the PC Engine version's better because there's some features they took out.
Yeah, that's the original version. The Mega CD version was a pull, I think.
Yeah, which is weird because apparently they took stuff out of that version.
Yeah, I think I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like they took away revenge shots and things like that on the higher difficulties. Loving that game. Great soundtrack. Really good looking game. Hard, but yeah, that's a fun one. A bit like UN Squadron. Between missions, you can sort of pay for upgrades and stuff. So that's really good. And I played through East 1 and 2 on the PC Engine as well.
Oh, I still got finished 2.
They're great. They are fan. Because I've played the remaster one that came out on PC quite a while ago now.
Oh yeah.
But they're a bit easy in some places, harder in some places, but easier in some places.
I'm stuck in 2 at the moment. I'm just stuck where to go.
2 is very hard to figure out where to go because it's not as well designed as the first one. I don't think.
Yeah,
it's a great game.
I'm actually playing the PC Engine version, but I downloaded it on the Wii years ago.
The virtual console.
Yeah,
nice.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, the first one, it's not a short game, the first game, but there ain't a lot of places you go. There's only 3 dungeons in the original game.
One giant.
One giant. And if you're playing on the PC 88, it's 2 floppy disks. And the second floppy disk is just that dungeon.
I thought
wow.
Yeah. And it goes on.
It sure does.
But it's great. And like it's the first ever video game with an English dub, the PC Engine version.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't suck.
Wow.
Hey.
My God.
Amazing, but it's pretty good. And I looked at the voice actors on it, and there's some pretty important people in the industry there. There's like Jim Cummings is one of the voices in it.
Seriously?
Yeah, so like you got Winnie the Pooh basically in the game.
Winnie the Pooh and about 500 other characters.
Yeah, and there's something like, I think they said it's like 40 minutes of voice acting in the game or something between both games.
Wow.
And what's different between the PC Engine version and the other versions is they sort of made it one game. So you can't just play East 2. You have to play East 1, and your save goes straight. Like there's no credits between East 1 and East 2.
Oh wow! It just jumps straight in.
Is that the book 1 and 2 version?
Yes.
So that is the one that I've got, I think.
That's the same one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Curious. Random question, but is Jim Cummings playing a villain?
Yes.
Because if he's not playing as Winnie the Pooh, he is every villain in everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's quite a change.
He's got that voice, hasn't he? He's just got that voice. He gets a bit typecast.
Yeah, every villain, every anti-hero, like that sort of thing.
He was even Scar for one line of his song, Be Prepared. Just one line of it.
When Jeremy Irons shot his voice doing that song, didn't he? And
then so if you
like,
if you listen to, it's really obvious when you look for it, but like halfway through the song, he just turns into Jim Cummings, and it's just like it's really obvious. And then it goes back, and it's just like it's really obvious when you point it out. But
he's like the real workhorse. But it's impressive. Like maybe when Red Book Audio was coming out, they really wanted to push good dubs for stuff, and then they found that maybe it was too not cost effective, and they stopped.
Yeah, I could see that happening because a majority of like CD like voice acting in CD games early on was absolutely atrocious.
Exactly. Well, this is like I say, I'm not saying it's the best dub ever, but it's surprisingly not bad.
Compared to some of the stuff I remember on the Mega CD and that. Yeah,
I love the voice acting in Rondo of Blood.
Yeah,
that's all.
But no, it's good. It's interesting because you finish the game, you don't even get the credits, and you just go straight into the opening of the second game, and you keep all your stats and your levels and stuff. When
nice.
There was I think the level cap in all other versions was 10. You couldn't get above level 10. I finished East Book 1 at level 25.
Oh wow!
So and it carries over. So they've
cool.
rebalanced everything for the fact it's all one big game. So
Nice.
it's
That's cool.
It's probably the best one to play. It's debatable. It's that one or playing the modern one where you have 8-way movement, so you can kind of attack people from the side easier.
I think that was the first
That's
one
the
I
one
ever
I
played.
have.
Yeah, it's a
That's
good
the
version.
one I have. I have it on Steam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one
that's-
I beat, and that is a good version of it. Definitely, you wouldn't be wrong to play that one either. Because I don't know if you know about bump combat in East. Basically, you just walk into enemies.
You just
and
bump
sort
into
of-
them, yeah,
Yeah.
until they
That's my favourite
explode.
thing about the game.
Yeah, but it's it has like nuances. If you hit them slightly off center, you have a priority of damage. So so it's not you can't just
Yeah.
run into enemies and expect
No.
to win. You can
No.
if you over level,
Yeah.
but you want to hit them off center, and then you can often take things that that are stronger than you by necessity. It's surprisingly fun. It's very tactile.
I don't know if it's in the PC Engine version, but I was like looking at videos a while back of like all the different versions of like like all the different remakes and stuff like that. And I love the versions where you just walk and bump into people and they just explode into a bloody mess.
Oh,
just for bumping into them. Just for bumping into them. It's like whoops, and they just fall to pieces. You just bump into them and it just explodes. Like,
Ever since Ark of Nepishtim came out, which was E6. On PCs, they had that whole thing where they used pre-rendered graphics for the enemies and Adol, and then whenever they die, they would just turn into Gibbs, basically.
just big bloody mess. It's just ridiculous. I love it.
But when Konami ported that to the PS2, for some reason they thought they would use 3D renders for the characters, like 3D models, and it just looks terrible.
Oh dear.
And they had really nice anime cutscenes on the PC, and they just decided to put a pre-rendered cutscene, and it just looks really weird.
3D's the future. We can't do it well yet, but it's the future, so we have to do it.
Yeah, so you're better off playing East on the PC over the PS2 version, basically, of Ark of Nepishtim, which fortunately is out.
Which is an amazing name, I have to say.
What, Ark of Nepishtim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up there with Dirge Cerberus, or whatever it's called.
Oh, I know. It's like Oathenfeld, Ghana. There's such obtuse names, but I know I thoroughly enjoyed it. 2 did get a bit of a slog towards the end because it has the same thing of each one where it's like the last dungeon just goes on. But unlike the last dungeon of the first game where you're going up and you're making progress, it's more like running backwards and forwards.
No, that's the worst.
It's a lot of literally backtracking, but it's great. I still like it. And other than that, I've also been playing Tetris Effect the last couple of days, which I've been enjoying. I've hit a wall where I can't get any further, but I got it.
Did a certain someone influence you in buying that?
Maybe.
Did someone inspire you?
I can do better than that, Anus.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was wondering because I was thinking, is this for me? Because it is Tetris, and like, how many ways of playing Tetris can you have? But it's like apparently, if you inject
all of them,
Tetris, it's really fun. So yeah,
just inject res.
It just Yep,
that sounds like perfection to me.
It basically is. I mean, it's a really great way to just have a game of Tetris. It's a shame it doesn't have a battle mode like a more modern Tetris game like Puyo Puyo Tetris and Tetris 99 has. But I also like the purity of just like point scoring, trying to get lines.
Yeah.
And I do love the thing with the where you can sort of freeze time, for lack of better words.
I love that zone.
And get those ridiculous 10-line Tetrises that are called Octoturus and stuff like that. Octorus. It's like are these just like new words they just made up or what?
Yeah.
Or they're actually using some kind of term there, probably.
So thank you, Pagetnol, for making Tetris, and whoever made, I can't remember the developer of Res, but him as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for just licensing it to anyone now.
Yeah, because it was under Nintendo originally, wasn't it?
It's the very first version of Tetris was just like a PC.
It was a freeware thing, wasn't it?
And then I think Nintendo might have been like the third or fourth people to have it, but
because there was
it's complicated.
It's very complicated because someone said they had the license and they had talks about it, but
basically there was the arcade license was separate from the console license. So at one point Atari had the arcade license and Nintendo had the console license. And then a company called BPS had the console license. And then Sega thought they got the license from someone that thought they had it, but they didn't. So they had to recall the Mega Drive version. It's bad.
It's something to do with the fact that basically Alexei Pajitnov made it on like state computers.
Yes, like Soviet Union. Yes, Soviet Union computers. Yeah.
So it's literally a Soviet game technically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's. I don't know if I want to say it's the best version of Tetris to play because Puyo Puyo Tetris is fantastic, but
I do love that game.
It's very
There's
good.
so many good versions of Tetris.
Yeah.
I guess the only ones I would not play now are some of the older ones. I still love the original Game Boy one, but I was trying to play that remake of that Mega Drive Mini version of Tetris, and that is hard to go back to now. It's really hard to go back to not being able to swap, not being able to hard drop, and the fact that as you showed me at one point, you can get like 20 square pieces in a row and just end up with squares for days. That was the early days before
the bag. I think they call it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I would go out on a limb and say that I think Tetris Effect is my favourite Tetris game. I enjoy it that much. I really like it.
I think if you take Tetris in a vacuum, you're probably right because, like, obviously, Puyo Puyo Tetris is sort of cheating because it has Puyo Puyo as well, and there's like a lot of game there. But if we're talking just pure Tetris, this is like perfected the Tetris formula, I think.
Yeah.
I'm loving the crap out of it. Now I'm just sort of getting the puzzle game fixed now, and I want Panel de Pon to come out so I can play that.
That's out on the 20th, I believe.
20th, so it ain't long now then.
Yeah, I can't wait. I have a cartridge of it upstairs, but I can't wait to play it on the Switch.
Yeah. So, I think that's all I've been playing, really. Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
So, who's next?
Awesome. I guess I can go next. I've been mostly playing a lot of Sega Saturn games, just trying to celebrate the North American 25th anniversary as best as I could. I won't talk too much about them. I played some more Fighters Megamix. Sorry, not Fighting Fighters.
Oh, cool.
I played some Astal, which is a game that's a lot harder for me than it should be, I think. More Mr. Bones. Still can get past the damn frozen lake in that game.
As I say, I don't even think I got that far. That game's weird. Like every level, it's very hard to decipher what they want you to do in some of those levels.
Yeah, that's the game where you really need the instruction manual to explain some of the levels to you.
And I have the Japanese version, so it's even harder.
Oh, wow. I would love to see if the Japanese version. It's dubbed in Japanese too, right?
I think it might just be subtitled, but I'd have to double check. I seem to remember it being subtitled, like really fuzzy subtitles underneath the FMVs.
Well, I guess
that are barely legible.
I guess the blues musician who did most of the music in that game, he did a lot of voices for that game. I think he even appeared in that game. I think he was the blind guitarist that you run into.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he did that little lecture on the blues in one of those trippy levels.
It's a very bizarre game.
I know, and I love it.
It's pretty great.
I played some Daytona USA on the Saturn. I even played some of my demo discs just to remind myself what kind of games I don't have.
Right, so you were playing the Saturn version of Daytona. Did you hear the version of Let's Go Away with the extra lyrics? It's in there.
No.
I'm pretty certain it's in the Saturn version. Everyone on the Yakuza chat last night were like, "Oh, it's got no lyrics. It's just do 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 and hey hey hey." It's like, no, there's another version that's got like loads of lyrics, and no one seems to remember.
Well, if there is such a thing, I don't know how to listen to it.
We were too busy driving the wrong way down the road.
I guess. Like I messed up.
True.
I messed up a drift near the starting line, so I was like, screw it, this race is ruined. I'm gonna go back and put that sign.
You've lost your
And then I
sponsors.
restarted the race. I lost my sponsors before I found that sign.
You found the sign. They were like, "Yeah, you lost your sponsors ages ago. Now we're just going to take your car away. You're going to have to walk."
Yeah, they're gonna take my license too. You'll never drive stock cars again. I played some more Blazing Heroes, which is
cool.
getting really difficult now because I seem to have hit a wall where the type of scenario they set me up with all the enemies they want me to battle against. It's just I don't know how I'm gonna be able to get through it. But you know, where there's a will, there's a way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also some Burning Rangers. My battery in the Saturn died a while ago before I managed to get my hands on one of those memory backup cartridges.
Oh no!
Crap! The worst.
So I lost my save file for Burning Rangers, but thankfully I didn't get too far anyways. So I don't mind starting over.
Yeah, I think it is quite a short game, isn't it? As well, it's only like a handful of levels.
Yeah, well, the last time I haven't beaten the game in like a decade. I beat it in an emulator before I had my own Saturn.
Yeah.
So I don't exactly remember how long the game is.
I don't recall
but
it
I
being
only
super long.
managed. Yeah, but I only got through the first level before my save data was gone. So whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I replaced the battery with a rechargeable battery, so that should
I never thought of that.
should work out a lot better. Yeah, there's rechargeable coin cell batteries you can use in your Saturn or your Dreamcast.
I wasn't sure if they were
Didn't even know
compatible or
that.
not. Didn't know if they were
Yeah.
compatible.
Yeah, they are compatible. The only thing is, though, that in order to keep them charged, you'll want to make sure that you turn on your Saturn or your Dreamcast or whatever you use it with for at least an hour a month. Which I'm sure
Okay.
that's not going to be hard. I'm sure that's not going to be hard if you love any of these consoles.
Yeah, but I can imagine like a month goes by and you just forgot, like at some point, and you just go, "Oh no!" I'd have to make sure I'm doing monthly streams, otherwise.
It's been a month since I played Sonic Adventure. I wanna. I hope my Dreamcast doesn't ask me what day it is.
I've just given that up with the Dreamcast. Every time it comes up to insert the day, I'm just like, oh, shut up. I just don't care. It's just like it could be 1998 forever.
Yeah, I did that with my Saturn and Dreamcast for the longest time.
All
don't have
systems.
to do it, but I guarantee you, with the rechargeable batteries, I've not had to do that since I replaced the battery.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into getting one for the Dreamcast,
How
especially.
does that work though? Because you've got to take the battery out, haven't you, to charge it?
For the Saturn?
Yeah.
No. It charges from within the console. It just uses the voltage that the console brings in.
That's really cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this.
It's like lithium-ion battery, basically, then, isn't it?
No, it's I think it's a 2032 coin cell battery.
Oh yeah, I mean, like effectively, because you can recharge it without having to take it out, like you would Game Boy rechargeable.
Oh yeah, something like that. There's only one company, to my knowledge, that makes them, which is Maxwell.
Okay. I'm gonna look into this.
Yeah,
I wonder if they're compatible with PAL units because the voltage could be different.
You know, I'm not sure.
That's a
I
good
think
question.
batteries are universal, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure batteries like that are.
I mean, my GPI case for my Raspberry Pi is American, but it still runs off our batteries fine. So
yeah, I should think. I'm pretty sure batteries are pretty much the same everywhere.
Yeah, batteries universal, no matter where.
Oh, good.
Yeah, maybe there won't be too much issue. I don't know. And then going away from the Saturn, I played Uncharted 3 on the PlayStation 4 via the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection.
Because I gave that away
because I was playing the. Oh well, I already had the game actually.
Oh okay.
But yeah, they did give it out for free a while ago to download. I just already had the physical copy for quite some time. I played through the other 2 games years ago, and then I played Uncharted 3, and then I think that's when Yakuza 0 came out. So
That was that.
So that done it. That done it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I decided it was finally time I go back into Uncharted 3 and finally finish the damn game.
Mm.
And apparently I wasn't too far from the end of the game, so it didn't take long.
That's as far as I've ever got in Uncharted. I never went beyond 3.
Oh, really?
It felt to me like I liked the series, but I felt like I was going through the motions at this point.
Yeah.
I guess Uncharted 3 kind of felt like that too, but I really did still like that game.
Oh yeah, I think it's a harmless sort of shooter. It's quite fun, you know.
And usually I'm not too big into games that are far too much on the cinematics. But like with with the Uncharted series, they go so far into the cinematics where it just has the opposite effect on me. Like if you're gonna make your game that's like a movie, go full blown all out. Like
Yeah,
Uncharted.
go Michael Bay on that arse. Go Bad Boys on that arse. Yeah. on that arse? What am I talking about? On that arse.
I was wondering.
It's always with the Freudian slips here, isn't
it?
Isn't it just? I don't know what you're talking to Boob about.
And I thought I had a potty mouth.
What, Boob? Jesus Christ! You should have heard me last night.
I ain't ever seen a boob.
Ever.
Ever.
Oh.
Never. Ever. What was I talking about? Oh, right, Uncharted.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it.
So now that's done. Whenever I find some time, I'm going to go into Uncharted 4 and then Uncharted The Lost Legacy because I have both of those games too. And then the last thing I'll talk about is Splatoon 2.
Cool.
Which I was playing again during the last few days of my NSO trial because I wanted to practice for this weekend when they do the new Splatfest.
Oh, is that this weekend?
Yeah, that's this weekend. So you might want to get some practice in to warm yourself up for that.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah, they were supposed to stop the Splatfests last summer, and they did, but then they decided randomly to do one more Splatfest.
I think it's the first one again, isn't it?
Yeah, they're bringing back the first Splatfest. Ketchup versus or mayonnaise versus ketchup. Team Ketchup all day. And that's the only Splatfest I couldn't take part in because I didn't have a Switch yet.
Yeah, I think I missed the first few because it was a while. I didn't get a Switch near launch. Sort of almost a year in.
Yeah, I rushed to go grab a Switch as soon as Splatoon 2 came out because I was so enamored with the first game on the Wii U. I've become such a big time fan of Splatoon since then.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get Splatoon 1 until long after all the Splatfests had finished because they'd only been doing them for a year. I really don't understand why they don't have some form of system where they can just automatically have them go out, like just on a loop, and just have them just going endlessly.
Well, most of those kind of games do.
Yeah, I don't really understand how they haven't got a means to do that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they do. I think they don't because they want to make this feel more special, like an event. And it really goes into what I really like what they do with Splatoon, where they make Inkopolis, that's the city the Splatoon takes place in. They make it feel like a living, breathing world.
They actually kind of do when all that stuff. The Splatfest stuff was really nice. That was pretty much the main time I played that game. Actually, was when the Splatfest were on because it was just such a nicer atmosphere. You know, it was all nighttime. There's fireworks going off, big like concert going on in the middle of the hub world, and and the music was nicer as well. Like the Splatfest versions of the battle music was even like cooler.
Yeah. Not to mention that the Splatfests even leak out into the rest of the game, and they influence the story and the overarch. They influence the characters that put on the Splatfests. In the first game, it was the Squid Sisters. In this one, it's Pearl and Marina of Off the Hook.
Yeah.
It got to the point where the conclusion of the last Splatfest in the first game decided the story of the single player in the second game.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I have to wonder if the last Splatfest from this game will affect whatever the next game is, if they do a Splatoon 3 or some kind of spin-off, whether that will affect that as well. That'll be interesting.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, I have to say the world building in Splatoon is some of Nintendo's best in a while. Like, they've done a really good job of making that feel like as you say, a living, breathing.
For a new IP, they've done fantastic.
They knocked it way out of the park with this one. That's why I'm such a huge Splatoon fan right now.
Whereas Star Fox is repeating the same plot over and over again.
Yep.
Since the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, they need to do something new with Star Fox, and I don't mean Star Fox Adventures new. I mean
Yeah. What I'm hoping they'll do now is since they rebooted it with Star Fox Zero, what I'm hoping they'll do is that since they finally released Star Fox 2 since then, they'll treat that as a canonical sequel to Star Fox Zero, and then they can build it from there.
Yeah, because 2 had a load of characters that are not in any of the other games, despite being a cancelled game.
That's true, and since Star Fox 2 was meant to continue from the first Star Fox, which itself already had its story retold in 64 and Zero,
it was confusing.
The whole canonical nature of it can still work perfcally, and then they could just play off of it however they want in the next game.
It's weird because Light Wars is it's a reboot, but it's also not, because it references stuff that happened in Star Fox 2, which didn't come out, and it's just confusing. Like, Kat's one of the characters who Falco knows, and you wouldn't know who she is unless you play Star Fox 2, which we never got to play. So
until a few years ago.
Well, Kat, you mean Kat Monroe? Kat Monroe was not in Star Fox 2. She first appeared in 64. No, she's not in 2. No. You're thinking of Faye and Mew. They were in Star Fox 2, but not in 0.
We're getting into some
I'll have to take your word for that, because there is a cat in the game, I think.
In Star Fox 2, there's no cat. Trust me.
Okay.
There are no feline characters in that game.
I thought it was like a Lynx character.
One of the trust going on right now.
Anyway,
Star Fox canon squabbles going on here.
I encourage everyone listening to this podcast to look this up at their leisure. All right, I swear I'm not joking here. Anyways, back to 2.
You sound like me with the Daytona music.
This is a battle I do not have to fight. Anyways, all right. I think that's every game I played. So later today, I'm going to renew my NSO for about 3 months, so I can take part in that Splatfest and enjoy the online for a little longer before I continue to stop paying for it in protest, because NSO sucks.
I mean, try and get a bunch of friends together and do one of those friend group things, because then it costs you next to nothing a year and it doesn't really matter.
Any of you guys want to help me with that? Because none of my friends will.
Well, I need to get one, so yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, we can. Basically, the more people you get together, you can get it to the point where it costs like a few quid a year. It's ridiculous.
Most do the family thing where you can.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the family thing. Yeah, I think you can have up to like 8 or 9. I think you can have up to 8 people in it, and they don't care who they are. They really don't.
Doesn't matter what region you're in.
Exactly. You can even be in different regions. So yeah, it might be a good idea to try and just gather some people.
Maybe I would have done that a while ago, but I mean, most of my friends, they don't even have a Nintendo Switch. Most of my local friends, anyway.
They don't even have to be local. They're just people you know online.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, as long as you all just like agree to putting it all in one pot and that. But yeah, it's like an absolute fraction of the price that way, and then you're getting SNES games, NES games, Tetris 99. Fine.
Yes,
Something like it can
For
do
how-
pull together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, either way, I really can't justify paying full price for NSO again.
I
unless they
definitely
make some
wouldn't pay full price.
really, unless they make some really drastic changes, or
They do
or
say that they
Splatoon
plan
3
to do
comes
more.
out. Whatever comes first. All right. So was that everyone? Who gets to go next?
We still got Andrew.
Yeah, I have done mine. Yeah, but yeah, I did have some plans for this week.
Mhm.
With my PlayStation 4.
yeah.
Yeah, because probably Murry Curry example, streaming straight from the console worked out all right, but obviously the chat down the side there didn't work the other night. But
I think that's a YouTube thing because it worked fine when I was on Twitch.
Yeah, it definitely worked fun on Twitch, and it was
Yeah.
really fun watching like the text just pop up in front of you while you were playing
Yeah.
VR. But
I was
it's just a
looking
shame.
forward to that in LA Noire, but unfortunately, it stopped really quickly.
yeah.
Oh, well.
So yeah, last Tuesday I set up my PS4. It's a slim model with only 500 gigs space on it, and yeah, most of it was used up already. I found one of my 1 terabyte hard drives just lying around doing nothing, so I thought, I'll plug it in. Plugged it in, installed all the updates that I have for the various games I got. And earlier, well, I wouldn't say today, yesterday, started up, the hard drive had been corrupted.
Oh,
hell.
Yikes.
So yeah, so I've spent most of today putting all my discs in. Some games just instantly go straight on the PS4.
yeah.
And some don't install themselves. But yeah, I just went through the whole stack of games and starting fresh with a brand new 2 terabyte hard drive. So hopefully it'll last me for a little while longer.
Hopefully.
Do you think it might have gone corrupt because it was one you just had lying around, or I don't know how that really works?
Yeah, to be honest, the one I found was in a drawer, which I forgot all about. And yeah, I think it's just...
Maybe it was just a bit old.
Yeah. I know it probably doesn't matter, but it is a Seagate hard drive, and I spoke to a few friends, and they said, yeah, Seagates aren't that reliable.
Yeah, I've been told that in the past. I always go for that, what's it called, Vertabating, or whatever it's called. I usually go for those ones myself, but I don't know if they're the best ones, but they're just the ones I've been recommended over the years.
It's unfortunately the nature of mechanical hard drives, they don't last forever.
Yeah. Well, we kind of discussed that on last night's stream, like the SSDs.
Yeah.
How they're sort of improving, which was nice to hear.
Yeah, I mean, SSDs, they're both unreliable, but also reliable in as much as you know what you're getting with an SSD. You know you have roughly X amount of writes before the sectors go bad. Whereas a mechanical hard drive, you can have it a month and then it just decides it doesn't want to exist anymore. So
this actually kind of relates to what I was thinking we could talk about at the end as like our main topic. So
yeah, we'll push that back.
Cool.
Yeah, kind of.
But yeah, other than my PS4 sort of not doing the business for me, I've been playing Animal Crossing as usual, and and just as of today, it's International Museum Week or Museum Day today.
Okay.
And so the actual in-game museum has like what's called a stamp rally, where you have to go all around the museum and collect 3 stamps from 3 different areas of the museum.
Cool.
In the hopes that that's my phone going off for that reason. I was saying, basically get you to explore the museum, get stamps, and get a few in-game items. So
nice.
Yeah. So that's
sorry, was that in Animal Crossing or?
Yeah, Animal Crossing New Horizons. So.
Yeah, okay.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
I was reading a really strange article earlier about how some people have been like starting Animal Crossing from scratch because they just weren't happy with their like presentation of their islands and stuff, and they were getting like grass is greener on the other side phobias from looking at other people's stuff on social media and stuff. Yeah, basically people have been like getting like really like they've been looking at people's beautiful setups on Twitter, and obviously you can like share your creations with people online, and they can all visit your island and stuff. And people are like start putting like 500 hours into the game and then starting from scratch because they weren't happy with it. It's like yikes.
Oh my god! Surely you can fix it. Am I right?
I mean, you can terraform the land, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Can't you just like chuck it, like drown it all in water and then start again? I don't know.
That's weird because I understand it takes a while to change up your island how you want, but the whole point is when you keep working at it, it feels very rewarding to finally come up with something you really like.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it sounds like some people are just taking this a bit too seriously, and they're using social media as a tentpole of how popular their like stuff is, and it's getting kind of weird like that. Not sure, but it kind of sounds like what it's like doing art on the internet. You know, it's like people are like, "Oh, I like my island, but look at this person's island, and look how many likes it has," and then they start, it's weird.
It's weird.
I feel like social media has kind of ruined some games.
Some people are just so obsessed with doing something that someone else is doing. They kind of forget that you could just do whatever you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
I thought that was the whole point.
Exactly. You don't always have to follow other people's trends. You can create your own. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of something like Animal Crossing or even something like Mario Maker, man.
Exactly. Yeah. Like my levels are utter garbage in Mario Maker. I know that they're full of holes, they're full of mistakes. Like,
but they're your.
But I sat there and made them, and I played through them. And it's like, I made this. It's bad. It's bad, but I made this.
I couldn't have made those levels. You did.
Yeah, they got my stamp of, hey, let's do this weird gimmick that kind of works if you play it a very specific way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, admittedly, yeah. When I see your levels being made, Aaron, because I'm seeing them being made, I know how to play them, and sometimes I just have to think like, oh, if I didn't see this stream and going into it, then it works out a bit different, and that's how someone who made it that way made it that way.
Yeah, so, and I think that's why no one's played or beaten most of these levels I've been making. Because I keep checking on there, and it's like, well, this one's had 3 plays, no one's beaten it. I think most people see the start of the level and go, nope. They just go, nah, stop this, I'm out. There's millions of levels, I don't have to play this rubbish. I don't know, but like, sometimes Mario Maker feels like a social media as well, because you get these trends on there. Like if you look at the top 100 levels on there, a lot of them are the same idea over and over and over again. People just do the same thing, and it's a similar kind of thing, and you have to just kind of disconnect yourself from all that nonsense, all the numbers.
Yeah. It's just people tend to they get over competitive about that sort of stuff, but not prepared to come up with their original ideas themselves.
I mean, this could describe the mobile market in its entirety, basically.
Make your isometric game with the avatar that's like a screaming man. Like for the icon, that's our video game. It's basically every other one. If we do this, and then just advertise it to hell and back all over YouTube and make all the YouTubers advertise it constantly, people might be hoodwinked into playing our scam.
Well, it's like Raid Shadow Legends. They market it as this like new.
That's what I was describing.
Yeah, and it's just like it's the same.
I am so sick of hearing of that bloody game. Like you go on. Like loads of YouTubers that I really respect and I love their content, but the first 10 minutes, now I'm going to just shrill this like bullshit game that they've never shown any indication of liking that style of game, but they're just like, oh no, I've got to talk about Raid Shadow Legends. It's like, oh, for God's sake, you're making me want to unsubscribe as much as I like your stuff. You're making me hover over that button.
Yeah, I mean, initially when my sort of YouTubers I liked were like doing Raid Shadow Legends stuff, I was like, oh, okay, fine, it's money, you know.
Yeah,
know,
but now
you
it's
know.
getting ridiculous. It's like every single one of them. If it's not Raid Shadow Legends, it's NordVPN, and if it's not NordVPN, it's Audible.
Yeah. But it's when I saw the contract for Raid Shadow Legends, I knew that these people had to agree to some pretty scummy stuff.
Exactly, yeah. It is pretty much been proven to be a bit of a scam.
Yeah, and it's just like, it would be one thing if they were just doing it for a paycheck where they just had to mention it. But I know that they've been forced to say specific things.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really direct.
I really like this game. I especially love the random RPG elements. And it's just like...
it's like verbatim. I'll try and link the video where it goes through it all.
I think I've seen the one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
It's eye-opening stuff.
Never, not that Raid Shadow Legends are knocking on our door or anything, but...
yeah, I don't think we're going to worry about that for a while.
If we do, I'll happily do a parody of that. But that's it, you know?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, so I guess we've all done what we've been playing, I guess?
Yep.
Cool.
Well, I do want to add one thing before we move on. I said there were no felines in Star Fox 2. I forgot. I forgot. Mew is a link. I forgot.
Yeah, I did say there's a lynx.
Maybe
played it to any extent. I just remember. Woo!
Anyways, Mew is a lynx, which is a feline. However, Mew and Cat are not the same character.
Oh,
thank you. Let's move on.
This is obviously a big deal.
Yes, because I know somebody is going to. I know somebody who knows this is going to call me out if I don't speak up now.
Is it Shigeru Miyamoto?
I'm sure he remembers.
Shigeru Miyamoto. He's gonna call up. He's like, "Wait a minute. What was Star Fox again?"
That was the thing where you go through the gates in Japan, isn't it?
Yeah. Somehow I don't feel like
he's gonna go back to that shrine, and he's
yeah.
gonna be like, "Oh yeah, Star Fox."
Oh, that thing, yeah.
I'll make a new game, and then when we reveal the game, I'll talk at length about how this shrine inspired me to make this game. The very day that we reveal the game.
And I just got some like British teenagers to make it for me, but yeah.
Is your game good? What?
Anyway, about the shrine.
Also, we need a special new controller because the Joy-Cons aren't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sorry. We'll move on.
Right, so I guess we should jump into the gaming news. Bing bong, and all that. Yeah. So, something really cool came up. We only just sort of got linked to on the Discord just now. But there is a BBC Micro official archive that you can play on the internet. Basically, just play it on a browser.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's not everything because I just tried to look for Facemaker and I can't find that.
Oh no!
But you can find Pod in Granny's Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, just having a quick look at the website now. Yeah, it's. I presume it looks like hundreds, if not thousands, of like different games on here for the BBC Micro, including a lot of homebrew stuff from the last few years. There's like a lot of like ports of arcade games that weren't released when it originally came out. Mm-hmm. See if I can move I've just got it up on the screen so people can see it. It's not really much to see. It's just lots of screenshots. But yeah, as far as I know, you can just click on them and they just immediately play. And yeah, this is a really cool little initiative. I don't know how official this is, but have you got the website up on there? Just so I can
hang on.
Because as I say, I only just found out about this.
Okay.
I just found the lucky dip button on the
There's
website.
that as well.
Oh, that's probably the coolest thing on there is the fact that you can just hit lucky dip and just see what you end up with.
Right, so
Oh no.
For a second there, I thought you said lucky hit.
Oh, lucky hit button, yeah. It just automatically subscribes you to lucky hit for no particular reason. We paid quite a bit. We did pay quite a bit to get that button on there.
Yeah.
I have to say.
You click it, it just says who?
Hey, I'm getting the sound through my headphones now. That's pod. That is, yeah. You just click on them, just immediate pod. There it is.
I mean, you've got like Manic Miner on here, which I don't even think originally came out on the BBC Micro, but
No, it didn't.
No, that must be another port. Yeah, that must be another port then.
but Elite's probably the big game.
Oh god, I'm getting the sound in my headphones of pod exploding right now. Was there any other games you did you find any that you were thinking of in particular? Because they definitely had Granny's Garden. They've got a lot of the ones I remember when I was in preschool and all that.
I can't seem to find Peekaboo either, but that was another game I remember playing when I was in like reception.
Yeah. So for people that don't know what the BBC Micro is, because it's very much a British thing, it was. You've got probably better knowledge on what it actually is, but
It's like a computer system, like really old computers basically.
Yeah.
But not only did
I
they
actually
have
had
two
one.
games,
Oh, did
Yeah.
it was also used quite heavily for in schools.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
That's how I think most people remember them, is because a lot of schools would like do fundraisers to get a BBC Micro
yeah,
into
like the
their school.
Tesco,
Yeah.
the Tesco the schools thing.
Yeah.
I can do a brief rundown of the history if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
So, originally, I think Spectrum, mate, it's a microcomputer, the Spectrum, everyone knows that.
Mhm.
One of the people that Sinclair was working with, one of his IT guys, left the company because it wasn't going the direction he wanted. And he got with his Cambridge friends, and they developed the BBC Micro. And it's part of an initiative the BBC were having where they were running a contest for someone to present their microcomputer that they've developed and like this one's BBC.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And
So that's how it ended up getting that name.
Yes,
that
and
makes sense.
Sinclair entered, but he was too late. BBC Micro had got it ahead of the time and had some really talented workers. BBC Micro was way ahead of its time. you know.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of surprising when you look at some of the stuff that's on here, like some of the homebrew games and some of the stuff that's been made in even back in the day. Like, it's kind of amazing what was possible in this thing.
They famously had a fist fight outside a pub, Sinclair and the guy who made the BBC.
Seriously? Wow.
Over this.
Oh, wow.
There's a really great TV series documentary, not TV series, a movie documentary called Micro Men, and you can watch it for free on YouTube.
Oh,
It
I've
has-
heard of that.
I've heard of that as well, yeah. I
Yeah,
need to.
the
Oh,
guy
I'll definitely have to give
has,
that a watch.
What's his name from The Office and The Hobbit and all that? Can't remember.
Martin
his name.
Freeman.
Pardon? Martin Freeman, yes. And it's got what's his name off Pointless as well.
Oh,
Which
that's
is,
Richard
Sinclair.
Richard
Osman.
Osman. Yeah. Oh, he's
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
there.
Oh, nice.
And,
oh,
it's
this
about
I
them.
have to see this now.
It's a very,
You
very
sold
good
me.
documentary drama thing.
I will have to watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Ripley's
And
Day
because
Out.
obviously Sinclair's very famously didn't want it to be a games machine, that just ended up happening.
It definitely ended up happening in the end, didn't it? Yeah.
Yes, so
I like how the Philips CDI wasn't supposed to be a gaming machine at first either.
yeah,
I mean, it barely was.
no, yeah, that's true. And the BBC Micro had the opposite problem. It wasn't really a gaming machine. There were a few games, but nothing like what the Spectrum had. And that's probably why Spectrum ended up winning out. But eventually they moved on and they became Acorn. And me and Murray actually had an Acorn computer in our primary school.
Oh, was it
I
love that? Was it an Archimedes? Acorn
Yes.
Archimedes.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yes,
nice.
it was.
We had this game called Bug Hunt, which was
Bug Hunt,
really
yeah.
cool. I love that game. I've always wanted to get hold of that again.
First time I played Lemmings as well.
Oh yes, that was on Archimedes. Yeah, I think
that was a good version.
I think Zol was on that as well.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and that's where you remember playing the original version of Badger Trails, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember playing Zool. Oh, Badger Trail sticks out the most for me, though.
Yeah,
As far as-
when we did that faff about in of like the modern PC version, we looked
yeah.
everywhere for the Archimedes version. We can't find anything of it. Like, there's no.
No, it's hard to find anything of that stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, so a lot of it's just lost media now. A lot of
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
disappeared. Like, no one kept tab on like keeping good working copies of it. Like, disc rocks
Yeah.
got onto some of the copies. People would just got them. Oh wow, our video comes up almost straight away when you search Badger Trail's Acorn Archimedes. That's cool. Or because I mentioned it in the description.
Mm.
So after Acorn, they kind of went out of the microcomputer business.
Yeah.
And probably their biggest claim to fame ever since. They made the ARM processor.
Oh yes.
Ah, yes.
So
Really?
every device
them?
you own, probably like you have
Yep.
some device that has some kind of Acorn software on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Your phone, Raspberry Pis,
Mhm.
loads of stuff, just so much stuff.
Yep.
Any consoles like Genesis and PC Engine Mini?
All the minis, yeah.
Yeah, all the
use ARM
minis.
processors.
Yep.
It's the
Um,
most. Sorry.
Was it DS did as well?
Yep.
Nintendo DS.
Mhm.
So you got BBC Micro to thank for that in the long run, in a really roundabout way.
Yeah, what do you think about it?
That is really cool. I did
Yeah.
not know that.
And I don't think we'd be where we are with small components without the ARM processor today, to be honest.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, very important console. Computer. It was definitely what I want to say. It was probably the first computer I ever used.
Oh,
like
certainly.
back in preschool.
probably mine. Or
Um,
a CPC or something for me.
I'm pretty sure it was BBC Micro because I just remember because that keyboard is so distinctive with it, that row of orange
Certainly
keys
a
at
lot
the
better than
top.
Specky.
God, yeah, mushy, like
Yeah.
whatever that material
The
is
brain
they use.
keyboard thing.
Yeah, ugh.
Mhm.
But yeah, that is like one of my earliest memories of computer games. Full stop is that keyboard with them orange keys and playing Granny's Garden and Pod and stuff.
Because while America was having their great big video game crash in '83, we were quite strong because microcomputers were doing really well.
Mm.
Yeah,
We
in,
really
in
suffer
this,
one.
in this country, like it's an age that we missed out on just because of our age. But
Mm.
yeah, like it was a really cool thing where I've still got 2 folders full of the magazines where people would like print out the code and
Mm.
like
So,
program
bedroom
their own
developers.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Instead of
I-
giving you like a floppy disk or cassette with the game on it, they would just print the entire code. You type
Yeah.
all of that code in, and you can play the game.
Yeah,
Just sit there
very
and type it
cool.
all in, and yeah, you just play it.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
That's an
we
amazing
I think
era.
it's because Atari didn't really hit us in a big way, and
No.
I think Atari are almost solely responsible for the crash. Not entirely. But-
Yeah, or just like the influx of games that
They
system
had
ended
a-
up
yeah.
with.
They had a huge influence on what
Yep.
ended up happening.
There were a lot of
Hmm.
copycats that came out, and that compounded the issue. But I think
Yeah.
like just they did. Though we had loads of games, they were so cheap. They
Exactly.
They
You
weren't
could,
expensive.
yeah, like
Most
Commodore
people just
64 games were like £2
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It was crazy.
So we didn't really suffer a crash. We managed to dodge it, and I think that was good for us. you
Oh,
know.
definitely. It basically gave birth to the whole British scene of video game developers that went on to make stuff like Wipeout
Codemasters
and
and all that.
Grand Theft Auto and
Yeah.
Lemmings. All of that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the micro computer boom of the
Yep.
late 80s.
that's
And,
right, yeah. And it's such
Yeah.
a shame that we were just out of that, weren't we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
feel
just
like
missed
I wish I was like even just 5 years older, just so I could
Yeah.
have been part of that. I think I would have ended up being a C64 fanboy because I was always because I had an
I had a
Amiga.
C64.
The Amiga was my first computer, so
Yeah.
I was a big Amiga
You would have been
fanboy
a
for the
dirty
long.
little Commodore supporter. Traitor.
I like how you
You
put
would've been
dirty in there.
you would have been commie scum.
But that's the thing, was it? Over here, when like Commodore 64 was seen as the American console, and people didn't like it because we had all our British microcomputers, and it was like
Yeah.
system there.
I like how things changed as soon as the Amiga came out. Like people
Yeah,
were
I
like,
know.
oh,
The
whatever.
Amiga comes out, it's like, well, that's British. And it's like, well, exactly.
No, not really, but yeah,
No,
we'll
British
take
devs,
this
but-
one under our wing. At least it's not Atari. They're definitely American, probably
yeah.
at this point
They
in
are.
time. Well, Atari is very confusing when you think about it, just in itself.
I think it's French now.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
yeah, because Infogrames bought up what used to be Infogrames is now Atari, and there's actually multiple Atari companies, including Natsume Atari, which I don't. Yeah, that's something else entirely.
Natsume Atari has nothing to do with Atari games, of course.
Yeah, I don't even know why they have.
Also use the word Atari.
Yeah,
And
it's weird.
It's a Japanese company, so I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
there's no copyright issues with them using that word.
Oh, well, that's a Japanese, you mean?
That's
Wait,
amazing.
didn't I just say they're Japanese?
Oh, I thought you meant Atari, because obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no! Our Atari is an American company.
Yeah.
They just
Use a
named
Japanese
themselves
word.
after. But yeah, they named themselves with a Japanese word.
Yeah, exactly. Atari is a Japanese word, so that's where I guess that coincidence sprung up, I guess. But nowadays, Atari are doing things like trying to build some kind of hotel? Like an Atari hotel, and it straight up looks like something out of Blade Runner.
As well
don't
as an
know.
online casino that uses their own custom cryptocurrency.
Great.
Yeah, okay. They recently put out a game on the Switch called Pong Quest that actually looks kind of interesting. It's like a Pong RPG.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a mix of Pong and the old Atari 2600 game Adventure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I'd be curious to see what that's like. Actually, it's quite cheap.
Yeah.
It's like £8, I think. But yeah.
Occasionally they make games when they feel like it.
Well, they get someone to make games. Yeah.
Yeah, they get someone to make it for them. Yeah. They used to make all the games. They used to make so many.
Yeah.
It might have been one of the first
They
parties.
used to,
Well, they were the first
made
party.
Pong, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
They used to make a lot of arcade games as well as distribute arcade games from Japan. They were the main distributor of Namco games for a long time.
That's true.
Like
yeah.
Dragon Spear.
Don't forget the Pac-Man on the 2600.
Bang, 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 bang. I love that the Pac-Man version of 2600, when you die, it makes the exact same sound effect that plays
The Pac-Man
in
version of 2600.
Yeah, the Pac-Man version of the 2600. Yeah, that's what I meant. Basically, when you die in the 2600 version of Pac-Man, it's the same sound effect that plays in a game called Beat 'em and Eat 'em when a character masturbates. It's the exact same sound effect.
They're limited a bit on the
Yeah, but it's the same. I don't know which one came first. I think it was probably Pac-Man. I'd like to think that was where it came from first.
What about another one called
Otherwise, Pac-Man's going to take on a whole new meaning.
Oh, Philly Flashers.
I think that's those games alone probably caused the crash. Let's be honest.
Yes,
in their little like leather cases or whatever they were. They just had like little posh and they had to hide them behind the counter and stuff. And they're just like the crudest, crappiest games.
I never
it's like,
played
it's dirty, sexy games. Oh, it's just like they put strange times. That we're obviously a bit young to.
Game nasties.
Pretty much.
Excellent.
So yeah, in terms of game news, I suppose the only other thing we could bring up is the fact there's been 2 announcements in the last week, both related to series that have had a bit of a rocky reputation, or a bit of a rocky, I guess, like...
Have a bumpy ride?
A bumpy ride, yeah. I guess the first one would be...
Sure, any fan can relate to.
Oh, yeah. But, so I guess we'll go with the first one. The first one's kind of interesting because what happens to the license and all that kind of stuff. Tony Hawk Pro Skater, basically, Activision lost the rights to it a few years back when they rushed out Tony Hawk 5 and just shat that out the door. They lost the license.
What happened there was their license was about to expire in
that's
a
it.
year or
Yeah.
two, and they
Yeah.
were like, oh shit.
That's what it was. They need to do something.
We need to make another game before we lose this license.
Yes.
We still can.
That's it. Yeah, it was about to expire, and they basically rushed that game out just to make sure they make a little bit of money at the last minute. And obviously, we all know what a disaster that was. ever since they lost, like the license expired, there hasn't really been much in the way of anyone else trying to do anything with like, you know, the Tony Hawk name and doing like another skateboard game. I know there was a mobile game. There was some kind of mobile game called Tony Hawk something or other. I don't know what it was, but apparently it wasn't very good. And I guess no one else wanted it because Activision has it again. And they're doing
nowhere, didn't it?
yeah. Basically, it was revealed with the first of the Summer Game Fest stuff, as in not the one that we watched, but the one that was like the day before. The one we watched was. I don't want to go into that. That was. Hey guys, look, Unreal Engine. Here's a tech demo. Let's talk about it for an hour on like Zoom or whatever. It's just like, yep. So yeah, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 is getting a new remake. This is technically, I guess you could say this is the third time they've done this.
Yeah, because they remade the first one a little while ago, didn't
they? They remade, well, Tony Hawk Pro Skater HD was the content of 1 and 2, so it was more or less 1 and 2 HD. That was
with some stuff from 3 as well.
Yeah,
I heard that wasn't very good.
Yeah, no, that was that was around the same not long before Tony Hawk 5 came out, so that was that kind of
I'm guessing Spider-Man won't be in it this time.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. So on the original Xbox, there was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2X, which was an Xbox exclusive, and that also had all the stages from the first game. And it was kind of. I don't
remember that one.
Yeah, I think it only came out in America. I don't think there was a PAL release of that. So yeah, and that was on Xbox in America only. But so yeah, this is technically the third time they've remixed these games. This new one is going to be developed by Vicarious Visions, who have got experience with Tony Hawk in the past. They actually made the GBA versions, like the isometric ones, which I seem to recall were actually quite good. Like for what they were.
They also made the Game Boy Advance version of Jet Set Radio.
That's true, yeah.
That's
so
a
they were like
thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like isometric.
Yeah, they
like...
used the Tony Hawk engine, or the GBA Tony Hawk engine to make that game.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, they've got experience with Tony Hawk, and obviously they were responsible for the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro trilogy remakes that come out in recent years. So I can see that Activision's trying to hit that like thing again, where it's like they're remaking PS1 era stuff. Yet again. I'm just surprised they didn't make it a trilogy game. I'm surprised they didn't do 1 to 3, because like 3 is often regarded to be one of the best ones. Like I've only played 1 and 2 on Dreamcast, but I seem to remember that like 3 was when they started to open the game up a bit more to like like an open world kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think I know why they stopped there, but we'll talk about that in a bit, I'm sure.
I mean, you can talk about it now if you want.
No, I'll just let you continue.
All right, fair enough. They've been putting out little. As soon as they announce it, they already had like pre-orders up for like a special edition that comes with a full-size skateboard. Thankfully, not one that. Thankfully, not one that you like ride on.
Not the Tony Hawk ride one.
Yeah, thankfully not that again. I said about that. For plastic, the better.
I have one of those still sealed in a box.
So do I.
Wow,
so do I forget if it's Tony Hawk Ride.
I wonder how many people have actually that own it have actually played it, or if it's just lying dormant.
There were more reports of injuries.
I am willing to
because no one played it.
See how bad it is.
Because everyone saw it and went, nope, I ain't doing that.
Nah, I've suffered enough with the Kinect. I'm done with that.
Well, that was like that era of just like, again, Activision just milking the Guitar Hero series to hell and back, and like people just got. By the time Tony Hawk Ride came out, people were just sick of these kind of peripheral games for a while. It kind of killed that genre, like the whole like gimmicky controller thing, dead for ages. So yeah,
they took. At least with Tony Hawk, they figured out when enough was enough when it came to that.
No, they didn't.
Not that the games they made after that were much better.
That was that wasn't even the beginning of the end. Tony Hawk games sort of were going downhill for quite a while. I guess I don't know if anyone wants to talk about the experience with Tony Hawk, because I know Murry Curry's played a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have that much bad to say about them. I really like them. I think one of my all-time favourite memories, and I'm sure Shelved Gamer would remember this, was when I spent ages around his trying to get the I&II to work so I could do the face mapping.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh, I bet that
Um,
was. I bet that worked well.
monstrosity.
hey, he looked brilliant.
I always wanted to try that feature.
Well, the thing is, it's a nightmare to get working, and because we were doing it indoors, usually at night time, with these like fluorescent light bulbs. My guy, he looked really good when I eventually tried it about 20 times, and I'm pretty sure you were getting sick of it, Rick. You're just sitting there listening to me going, "Oh, it's not right." But I eventually got it working. But his actual face had like red. He looked like he burned himself because
I
of
remember that. Yeah,
because of the offset of the light. You know, at
my
least
room has a
now.
like orange glow to it.
Yeah. Well, now I'm a lot older, and I've actually worked with film. I know how to do it properly. I know how to get like decent lighting. And even just going over to the window would have been something I could have done to and doing it during the daytime. But he did look good, apart from the weird skin tone. But it took so long to get it working. That was my favourite memory. That was Underground 2, wasn't it? Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
Yeah.
That's the last one I played.
That was probably the last good one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would probably agree. Like,
Yeah.
fans of the series would say that's about the point where it was like they pretty much perfected this idea. There's not much more you can do with it, but obviously Activision just ran it into the ground for years and years, like annual games. And it's like I'm just not sure how to feel about this remake. To be honest, it feels. Yeah, it just feels weird that they've got it again and they're trying this again, trying to pretend that HD and 5 didn't happen and be like, hey, remember Tony Hawk on the PlayStation? It's like, yes, we remember. We definitely remember all those times you ran this series into the ground and killed it dead. But
they're technically running it into the ground by constantly remaking 1 and 2.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like reaching for the glory days.
Yeah, just again and again and again. Yeah, it feels like they've
Fox again.
It's
basically.
it's weird. Like I don't remember the last one I played. I played one Underground 1 and 2. That's as far as I was playing seriously, and I played one of them, and I can't remember which one it was. But I played the tutorial, put it back in the box, and took it back.
I bet it was that Proving Grounds.
Yes,
that was awesome.
Yeah, I think that was.
I do remember playing the demo of Proving Grounds a long time ago, but I don't remember what I thought of it.
It had vision, that game, didn't it? Like it looked like
2020, but yeah.
It's kind of like where the skate games were going, where you can modify the level on the fly. You can move things around. Yeah, that's what they were doing with that game.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's where probably, if I'm being honest, I bet that's where Skate was born. They saw that game and went, we can do that properly.
Yeah, we could do that with skill.
That's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically what you could do in Proving Grounds was like at any point while you're running around, like the preset, you know what the levels are like in Tony Hawk's. They're like sort of just big playgrounds, aren't they?
Yeah.
You can sort of pause and then use. I don't know if you had to actually like gather the resources. I don't think it was that micromanaging. I think you can just basically open the menu, like literally while your guy's riding, you can just pause and go, I'm going to put a ramp there. And you make your own stuff.
That's interesting.
And then it sort of happened real time. But like I say, that vision, which let's face it was pretty cool, and what's the word, application didn't really meet.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they just made like even the simple controls like just got on my nerves. I remember, like you say, on that first level, like there was something really simple I had to do. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like something that you can do in all the other games, like maybe a reverb trick or something like that.
Yeah.
But because of the new tweaked controls that were so pointless, I kept failing it. I got really frustrated with it, so I didn't even get through the first sort of proper level. I did a few of the missions, I suppose you call them. Like objectives.
Yeah.
And then I really lost focus with it. Another one that I grabbed was I always had my eye on it because I liked the Underground games. There's technically the third Underground game. It's the American Wasteland. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yes.
I know the name. Yeah.
That was the one where they were trying to go like. They were sort of trying to go San Andreas with it. Where like that's kind of like the.
Is that Bam's adventure game basically?
Yeah, I think so.
That was that point where they were just injecting that stuff into the games, weren't they?
That's right. They
Like
started
all
it
the
with
jackass
Underground 1
stuff
and
and
2.
all the.
Yeah, like Underground 2 was just full blown and jackass.
Yes, yeah.
I'm jackass.
And jackass. But yeah, American Wasteland, that was like technically the third Underground game, and yeah, they tried to make it really open world, but what it actually was just not open. It was still just small areas with a little transition doorway, and there was an obvious sort of loading screen between those doorways, so you might as well have just stuck to level select.
Yeah, like it was originally. Yeah.
But yeah, that game, I actually got that quite recently. I'm talking about last sort of 5 years or so. That's how long it took me. How long it took me to actually get it. It isn't bad, but it's nowhere near as good as the previous 2 Underground games. Because I really liked Underground 1 as well.
I did.
Yeah, and 2 was really really good. That was probably my favourite one of all of the Tony Hawk's games. It was just full of silly ideas, and I've always loved Jackass, so yeah, it all just came together for me. And I even liked the idea of editing the normal stages, because you had like the park bit
Paper, isn't it?
Yeah, and you could even make your own missions in those games, like your own objectives and stuff, and they were really fun. Some of the stuff you could do with that, and that's kind of why I liked some stuff in Underground 1 a bit more, because you had the ability to use the vehicles, like the cars and stuff like that. They just took that out of 2, didn't they? They sort of let you have some characters that have special vehicles. But hang on a minute, cat, you're snoring.
You're snoring.
I don't think it was picking up. If that makes you feel any better.
It was picking up to me.
But I find it curious that they decided to age up the characters.
Oh, what, for the remake? Yeah,
that's a bit weird.
It is a bit strange.
Oh, what? What they made they made all the real life skaters look the way they look today.
Yep, so like Tony Hawk's like 55 or whatever.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh,
I would believe he's going to be 100 degrees vert.
Since you brought that up, I just wanted to point out something. When they aired the trailer for Tony Hawk 1 and 2, they aired it on the very day of Tony Hawk's 52nd birthday.
Yep, I noticed there was a stream of him and Jack Black playing Tony Hawk.
Oh, that was on Jack Black's YouTube channel, wasn't it? Yeah.
Just saying, they were right next to each other. Just saying.
But that was recorded
2 meters.
Wait, no, you said it was a live stream.
Well, it might not have been live, but yeah, I don't know how long the game's been in development for, so I suppose it could have been.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, like I don't know, like
hasn't he become a YouTuber now, Jack Black? Hasn't he?
He just randomly a while ago started doing a YouTube channel.
He's becoming a bit like Bill Murray these days.
I think it's edited by his son, if I remember rightly. Some of it's all right. I started when it first started. I thought, oh, this is pretty good, but I sort of fell off it quite quickly.
It just slightly annoys me because it just like give the rest of us a chance,
Yeah.
It's like when Jay from the In-Betweeners, he went off and became a gamer, didn't he? Like now he's massive, and he gets all the
they've got the foot in the door, haven't they? Of being already a celebrity.
They can get their like TV time, and then they're like up all this.
So they can instantly start up a channel and just basically hit it straight away.
It would be like someone really famous doing something like Wayne's World on like open network TV, and it's like you don't need to do that.
I just think it's a little bit cheaty.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Tony Hawk, I think its time has passed a bit. It might be one of those.
It was a lightning in the bottle game. I don't know if you can rekindle that fire ever again. Like
it's one of those things. It really is. Of its age, because skaters are still around, but I remember even I was technically a skater in school. Like everyone was doing it at that point. It was very much of the day. Now you see skaters are a small sort of niche now, aren't they?
They're a small demographic.
They used to be everywhere. You never used to be able to, during the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe even as far as up to sort of like 2008, 9 sort of year, like they were everywhere.
The skater music genre's dead, so I assume that skaters went with them. So
not a movement too soon.
but It's a
Am
genre.
I the
Also,
only one who, when I saw that trailer, it was like all those instantly regrettable tracks?
yeah,
Yeah, about that, like the soundtrack, they have actually released like a list of all the songs they've managed to re-license, and they've got
Yeah.
most of them, but they haven't got Bring the Noise.
Ah,
That's like one of the
Bring
best
Noise
ones.
in
How can?
there.
Yeah, apparently that's one of the songs they couldn't get. They managed to get friggin' what was it? Trying to find the actual list.
I remember the trailer had Police Truck by the Dead Kennedys.
well,
Yeah.
it's more than Sega did for bloody Crazy Taxi in it. So
Well, yeah, that
Well, at
the only
At
version
least
of Crazy
Sega eventually
Taxi.
got all the music back.
All
Yeah,
I
but
know-
only for the mobile version.
All I know
Yeah,
is that
but
every
still.
time I load up a new Tony Hawk game, the first thing I do is turn pretty much all the music off. I'd
which is
rather
as
listen
funny
to
because it's a
the
selling
ambient.
point for a lot of people.
I do think it's good that they have managed to get most of the music back because obviously it's of that era. So that's So the
Yeah, but
fact
what
that
you-
they've
what you got-
aged the characters, but they
Yeah, I
haven't
mean-
aged the music is
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's a time capsule, but also not.
Yeah,
No,
it's
they
very
should- They
yeah.
shouldn't have done that. They should have kept it all exactly like in that era. Like
Yeah.
that would have
Mm.
been the charm. It's not just a nostalgia thing, but again,
No.
it's that thing that the skater scene is nowhere near as big as it was then, and I don't think. Well, I can't say it would ever be. These things
Mm.
these things do research, and it's like
Yeah.
yo-yos.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
These things always come back around.
But
Whee!
I think it's one of those things.
I'm
where I
still
think
waiting
maybe
for
the
that
skaters
POG
are getting to
revival.
that age where they're nostalgic for skating,
Yeah,
and
and
they
then it will
might see
probably
this
have
as-
another big research.
Maybe.
It
Yeah.
will
Yeah,
at some
I
point,
get-
yeah.
But if you're
Since
going to
this
go
is-
ahead and try and age everyone, it just sort of it doesn't make any sense.
No,
I mean, since this is a remake of older games, I can't imagine they're going to sell this on too many younger gamers, even if they are into skating.
Yeah.
it's
hard to-
definitely
I don't-
people
So
that
I
have
don't really
been
see.
before.
So I don't really see this as one of those like "how do you do, fellow kids" type of things.
No, I think you're right.
yeah.
I think it's
besides-
pandering specifically to people who already played.
At the
games.
same time, I feel like the last few years has definitely been there's been a bit of a trend of, hey, let's just remake everything from the PlayStation 1.
Yeah,
It's been Final Fantasy 7, it's been Crash Bandicoot, it's been Spyro. A lot of this has been Activision. Yeah, exactly. It just feels like at this
Even-
point, it feels like all the big games on the PS4 have been remakes of PS1 games, and it just like
let's have a
Medieval.
Symphony of the Night remake. That'd be cool.
Well, it's 'cause I think it's everyone
Medieval
who
had
was
a
like
remake.
Yeah,
Hmm.
everyone who like their earliest games were the PlayStation. They're
hmm,
coming up to like their late 20s, 30s now. And
Yep.
it's like
Yeah.
what's happening with us and our remakes 5 or 6 years ago.
yes,
For, like,
it's
16
that all
and
over
stuff.
again. Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
that we had this big surge of 16-bit inspired games and 8-bit
Hmm.
inspired games. And
I'll tell you what I'd like to see. Some more, or any, should I say, the remake treatment for PS2 games now. Like, I'd love that.
Hmm.
You know,
I think
yeah.
we'll
Because
get there at some
we're
point.
coming up to that time now, aren't we? Almost.
Yeah, oh,
Give it another-
definitely,
give
yeah.
it another
we're getting a few
5 years.
remasters.
That's only a
Hmm.
matter of
Yeah, because I mean,
Um,
I've always wanted. I know it's not going to happen because A, it's Konami, and B, these games didn't exactly do too well. But for me, the PS2 Castlevania games, Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness, they are fantastic. They're really underrated, and I would love to see a HD collection of
Never
those
going to
two.
happen, but yeah,
I know,
agree.
I know. I live in hope. It's like
Never
an
in a million years.
it's on my list of things I could never have, like an Enix, what is it, Enix quintets, all those SNES games.
Yeah, I know.
I'd love a collection.
Yeah.
I'd love a collection of those, but that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I would love to see that too.
Yeah,
Or-
Quintet.
At least
Do you
just port the original games, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just put them in a collection. I'll be really happy.
Put
So
them on
you
the Switch
got,
online.
so you got ActRaiser 2, Soul Blazer, which is
Evo.
my personal favourite. Chuck Eco in there as well, because that was actually what's his name, wasn't it? That was just Quintet. No, was it just Quintet? No, it was Quintet and someone else, wasn't it? It wasn't actually Enix with that one.
Yeah.
But chuck that in as well because it deserves to be in there.
Swings
And then
around.
it's Cherenigma and Illusion of, or should I say the other way around, isn't it?
Illusion of
Gaia.
Time / Gaia.
Gaia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those 5 games in a collection would be great, but it would never happen. Funny enough, though, one of those things on my little list, I do have the list somewhere of things that I want that would never happen. One of them was Crystal Chronicles remake, so that's happened.
Never know.
It's
The
honest.
interesting swings and roundabouts thing, though. Do you know
Yeah.
the quintet is made up of people who left Falcom after East 3?
Ah,
Yep.
right.
So there's a lot of sound effects that are in the early East games that are in the quintet games. Also, they nicked what's his name, Yuzo Koshiro, to do the soundtrack for Activision.
Actraiser, yeah.
Yeah, who did the soundtrack for the early East games. So yeah,
I mean,
Mhm.
I'd love it to happen, but I think that's even less likely than my Castlevania HD collection.
probably.
Going back,
yeah.
going back to the Pro Skater
Tony
1 and
Hawk.
2 remake real quick. I guess this is one of the things that I'm a little bit worried about with this. Is another thing that they've been talking about now is they put out a statement saying there's going to be no microtransactions and no DLC at launch. At launch.
Yeah.
History is repeating itself. They literally did this with Crash Team Racing. This is a very dirty tactic. They basically wait till all the reviews come in and people going, oh yeah, this is great. They've got all the content in there from day one. It's all there. It's all good. And then they put the season pass stuff in and they put all the grinding or do it like paying currency to unlock stuff in the Crash Team Racing remake. And I can smell it I can smell this shit from a distance already. I can see what they're doing with this game. They're going to put it out. It'll be, it'll get all nice reviews. If it's good, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's a good remake of 1 and 2. It feels like the originals, blah blah blah. And then they're gonna go, but now there's all this new stuff. Look, season pass, and they're gonna just start milking. So, like, Activision want it both ways. They want to remake and make nostalgia out of the old ones, but then they also want to put all the modern bullshit into their remakes.
They got farm nostalgia. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they did it with Crash Team Racing. I think in the end they sort of balanced that game out. They had to backpedal on that because they basically got caught with their pants down.
Not to sound disparaging, but I think the Tony Hawk demographic is a bit more gullible. That might sound a bit disparaging. I don't mean it like.
We're going to bring the noise in, but it'll cost you £5.
I think it's.
I won't bring the noise
like that, where they just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll care. Like Crash Team Racing, I think there's a sort of purity with Crash Team Racing.
Yeah, it's a kids' game. You don't make.
Yeah, you see that a lot with the sports games, especially because they're not so privy on what goes on with video games behind the scenes. They just like their sports.
And I think a lot of people who play Tony Hawk maybe only really play Tony Hawk and a couple of other games.
Yeah.
So I think they're like, I'm not saying that there aren't hardcore people who play Tony Hawk as well. Because I have played it and Murry Curry played it as well.
Yeah.
But I think there are people who just like, I like skateboarding, therefore this is a good skateboarding game.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to they go, oh right, here's a DLC pack for levels from 3 or
classic skins for the characters.
Yeah, you could have the old polygonal models with all their
I love that. That's why I played Resident Evil 2 remake. I have all the PlayStation skins.
Wasn't it free on Resident Evil 2, but you had to pay in Resident Evil 3?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, it's like, you have the first
What annoyed me is it cost a couple of pounds to get that really cool, I haven't got it yet, and Resident Evil 2 remake, you can get the soundtrack, and it's even the sound, like all the different menu sound effects as well.
Oh, nice.
So when you're going through it does all that. But yeah, it just kind of annoyed me that it was a couple of quid. That should have been, thrown in there with the skins, that should have been part of it. Also, can I just say, sorry if this is going off tangent, this annoys me so much. When did this thing happen where remakes and ports of games stopped having the originals on there? You remember they used to do that all the time?
Yeah.
Why not in Resident Evil 2, when you finish the game, why can't you play the original? That would be brilliant.
Yep.
Just a little unlockable, that was definitely a thing.
Yeah, I remember the King of Fighters 98 Ultimate match. It has the original Neo Geo King of Fighters 90. Same thing with 2002 Unlimited match.
Yeah, and also one of my
thought about that.
Yeah, one of my favorite games that did it was. Do you remember the first 3D Ninja Gaiden? It was just called Ninja
yeah.
Gaiden.
Oh yeah, that had
yeah.
all the NES
You
games
can
on it, didn't
find
it?
Oh,
all
yeah,
three of the NES games if you
I
click.
know,
Hmm.
that's so cool.
Yeah. So when did that stop happening? Because I think the first game that did it that annoyed me was when I got that really good remake of Castle of Illusion, and it didn't have the Mega Drive on it. I was like, well, yeah, but maybe I thought, Mega
What
Drive.
happened? What happened with the Castle of Illusion is they did the Mega Drive game. Going back to that, Castle of
Yeah.
Illusion. This really annoyed me. It was a pre-order bonus, only on the PS3. You couldn't get it any other way. So if you
What,
didn't
the Mega
pre-order,
Drive?
yep,
Ah,
there is a Mega Drive version of Castle of Illusion on the PS3, but only if you pre-ordered remake.
see, that is
Yeah.
So
Well,
they made it a pre-order
you know
bonus.
what?
and then
You know
Sorry.
what? I got that game after the pre-ordered orders had already done. I think it might have been right before they delisted the Castle of Illusion remake the first time, and I
Yeah.
actually did get the Mega Drive game along with it.
And I think
Okay.
it's actually like an M2 port as well, from what
It
I
is.
remember.
It is an M2 port. It was made exactly like
that-
their Sega Vintage Collection series of games at the
Exactly.
time,
And
which
it's
is
like-
that
equivalent.
annoys me even more now.
Exactly, yeah. That's
That's even
always
worse,
that
guy.
was always the
Well,
contention
That
with
was when
it.
I first
Well,
noticed it.
what's even worse is that sometimes since that happened, my copy of that download has actually somehow expired. The Mega Drive game, it expired, so it won't let me play it anymore.
That's
Scott Pilgrim thing all over
terrible.
again.
And I have never had that happen with
Uh,
any of my digital games. on
yeah,
PS3.
my copy of Scott Pilgrim still works on my PS3.
Mine didn't.
Exactly. Scott
Yellow.
Pilgrim, if you downloaded that game before it was delisted, you can still play it. I can still play mine.
I lost
But
two.
Hang on.
but Sega won't let you play the Genesis Castle of Illusion on it. Come on,
Yeah.
son.
I've
That's the
had this
thing.
happen with 2 games. Sorry.
I don't
carry on.
even think they
No,
even
it's
said
alright.
that might happen at some point.
You lost a Double Dragon game, didn't
Yes,
you?
I lost Double Dragon when the license expired. Like with the original holders, they didn't just like say, "Oh, you can keep downloading this because you bought it." They were like, "No,
Yeah.
you can't have it anymore."
They shouldn't be allowed to do that.
No, and it happened with Scott Pilgrim mainly because my PlayStation crapped out, and obviously I didn't download it after. That same happened with PT as well.
Yeah.
On my PS4.
Yeah, PT annoyed me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never got a chance to try that.
Oh,
Not
Digital Future.
Not to like wank off Lizard Cube too much, but when Wonder Boy came out, they put the original in that game, and it was on the fly as well.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's
So the other
literally
one, see,
half the game.
I think it was Castle of Illusion where I first noticed it, and then the DuckTales remake did it as well. They didn't include the original,
Nah.
and then it started. I just
They
noticed
sold it
that
later.
Capcom, was it?
I can't remember now, but
Way Forward made the remake.
Yeah.
and then it really annoyed me when they made a Metal Gear Solid HD collection that didn't come with Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid, yeah.
It was a PS3 thing, again,
Yeah, I
I think
know the one you mean.
it
Yeah.
was like a digital extra thing, but like, it was a Metal Gear Solid collection that doesn't come with Metal Gear Solid.
Well, first they just didn't have Metal Gear Solid on there. Then they made a second one with a digital download for the PSN version, which
Yeah.
was PAL, by the way.
That's the one I have.
Yeah.
I don't know when they stopped doing it, but I think it's a real shame because even that terrible Flashback remake had the original Flashback on it.
Oh, I thought you meant the one that came out a little while ago. I was like,
No,
that's not terrible.
the
No,
really bad
the
remake,
really bad one. Yeah.
2012 or whenever it was.
The only reason
Yeah.
to buy that version.
At the time, it was the only way to get the original flashback, wasn't it?
I think the one that hit me the most was Resident Evil 2 remake because there was no reason they couldn't have chucked that on. That
Even
would
if
have
it
been
was just
so
a
good.
PSN version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they've done such a good job with everything else about it, but it just seems like that sort of practice has now just stopped.
Yeah. We can't give you free stuff. You have to buy it separately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Not unless there's a global health crisis, are we going to give you free games?
But
Even
like I
then, we're not going to do it that often.
I mean, with Lizard Cube again, like Streets of Rage 4 is not a remake, but they still put in the old music and they
I
let you
love
unlock
that. And
all
the
old
characters.
That is so cool.
I love the
So,
fact that you
yeah.
can play 4-player in that game, and all 4 players can be different versions of the same character. You can
Yeah,
have
4 different
4
versions of
axles, 4 axles
Oh,
at
I wanna
once.
do
That
that
is
is great.
magical. That is the best thing ever.
I can't wait
When
to
this
see
lockdown
that.
ends, we should do that on a stream.
Yeah, just 4 axles. Four Blazes. That's great.
Yeah, no, that's great. Some companies are still like that. It's not really the same, but like content is nice in games. Contra 4, for example, there's just so much to unlock in that game. You know, and you can unlock the original Contra and Super C in it as well. So,
Because I mean, am I just remembering this wrong, or do you remember the Prince of Persia on the PS2? Can you unlock the original for finishing that?
Yep.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, how cool is that? Well, you finish a remake, or that wasn't even a remake. That was just the next installment in the franchise, wasn't it?
yeah,
And you go through it all, and then you get some like the proper nostalgic original game. Like even like Sonic Generations did it, didn't they? You can play the whole Mega Drive
Yeah,
original
Sonic Generations, even though that wasn't a remake of anything,
Yeah,
it had the original Sonic Genesis game.
I love the way they threw it in the world map as well.
Originally, with Sonic Generations, the original plan for that game was to put the prototype of Sonic 1 there, but they couldn't find it. So they just put the full game because they couldn't find it. But they wanted to put the prototype, but they could not find it.
Another one was Zero Mission as well that had all of the original Metroid.
Yes, and then you unlock the first game. Yes, there you go. Yeah, I'm so.
You're not imagining things; it was a thing.
It was definitely a trend. Yeah.
I'm just so irritated that it stopped. That it makes no sense.
Yeah,
it
is
such
baffling.
A cool thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess one last little bit of news is there was a new Paper Mario announced just out of nowhere, and it's literally coming out in less than 2 months.
Yep.
That's Nintendo for you.
Yeah, they're not even bothering
I'm
with.
surprised it didn't come out today.
Yeah, it's available now.
No, I've noticed they're not even bothering to do like a Nintendo Directs now. They're literally just announcing games like that, just out of the blue. So what's the new one called? The Origami King. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Super Mario Origami King.
That's it. Yeah. So Paper Mario, a bit like Tony Hawk, is one of those things where the first 2 games are like the gold standard, and then like the more recent games, people were like, like. I don't know. I think
I'll play Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know too much about it because the only Paper Mario I ever played was Super Paper Mario on the Wii.
Same here, actually. That's the one I played.
And I thought that one was really good.
That was fun, yeah. It was a platform more than anything. But
yeah, I played all 3 of the first ones. So.
Other than that, I've played I've had a short demo of Paper Mario Color Splash.
That's the Wii U one. That's the Wii U one.
Wii U, sorry. Wii U.
Yeah.
I played that at a local retro game convention we have here called Retro World Expo, where their second year Nintendo set up a booth. And this was before they launched Color Splash, so they gave people a chance to play the game. And I remember I played the the battles, and I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do, so I just gave up. Basically,
the main contention fans of the original games have with the most recent ones, Color Splash and Sticker Star, is the combat was like consumables, so you only had like limited moves. You played a bit of
I did,
Sticker Star, didn't you?
And it was a bit meh.
Yeah, I think it's just like 1,000 Year Door on the GameCube is such a high bar. Like,
so good.
Like,
so expensive now.
Yeah, you've still got your copy, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Yours is signed as well by Charles Martin.
Oh no, that's my copy of 1,000 Year Door.
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah, oh sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine is.
I just have a standard vanilla one.
But still a good thing to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, Origami King, it's obviously they've only shown one like announcement trailer that does show quite a lot of clips of stuff, and there's been a couple other little clips on like the Japanese channel and stuff. And from what we can tell, the combat in this one is somewhere in between the original 2 games and the newer ones, but it's also kind of doing its own thing where it's like this sort of like a circle ring, and like all the enemies are like they can be like 12 rows of them around you, and then you can sort of move them around by sliding each corner. I don't know if
So-
anyone's better at
so-
explaining this than me.
In that, you only see one little clip of the combat, don't you?
Yeah.
Trailer.
Yeah.
And I like that might be the combat in general, but I wonder if it might be like a special combat, like like not a boss battle, but like a mini boss where it's like
Apparently that is the general combat because
Okay.
there are like Japanese clips that just show it to a bit more extent. That's
It looks
basically how the
interesting.
encounters work. But yeah, I think some people, it's hard to really judge at the moment because we've seen so little of it, and it's hard to know if it's going to be another. I think the other contention a lot of fans of the series have as well is the original games had a lot of original characters as partners and like some quite unique story elements, whereas like the newer ones they had Mario and some Toads and some Koopas. That was kind
It's
of it.
not as fun. I mean, the
Heard
last
about that too.
I thought Super Paper Mario was still quite fresh and fun. Like
Yeah,
it had fun with itself.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought it was really fun actually.
That one had a lot of originality to it.
Yeah, like the
in
dating
both
sim bit
writing
with
and its gameplay.
I think
Daisy
it's
with
after.
Peach.
Yeah, I think it's after that one where people just started to get a bit
Yeah.
meh with them. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't really know what else to say about this one really, other than that it's out incredibly soon. I kind of like that Nintendo does that. Like,
Me too.
I don't like having to wait years and years and years and years for games to come out. Like bloody Final Fantasy VII Remake. When was that announced? That was like 5-6 years ago. And
That actually took longer than Shenmue 3.
yeah, it took almost a year.
Swear
It's more, yeah.
The
And
less
there's
said about
some-
versus, the better. 15.
I just like Nintendo's mentality of just not announcing something and not showing it until it's ready. Like this game is probably basically done. Like, and
That's why I
the
like,
footage they're showing is probably final footage or near to final footage. So, like, your first impression is more or less.
That's something I like Rockstar for as well. Like
They're very
they keep their
secretive.
mouth shut, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's saying
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would release a game and like tell people game exists like a year, 2 years before it comes out. Because there's nothing to gain out of it.
Nah,
You know?
it kind
You
of.
can put
The one time Nintendo did that was with Smash Brothers Brawl on the Wii.
Yeah.
I feel like that I basically knew everything about that game almost a year before it came out
It's
here.
because they kept the hype in you going with that game because they were making these little micro announcements.
Yeah, and that stuff
It
was
was an
fun, but at the same time, I felt like I already knew everything about that game before it came out, and like the power release was really delayed as well. So by the time it came out, I kind of lost the interest.
Well, the thing
And I
is
did
that
buy
like
it and play it, but
I like the old Smash
I
games
just-
because I would play them, and then you didn't know what the unlockable characters were, like
Yes.
Melee in the original. And
oh
now I
yeah,
know more.
Melee was such a fun, just like the mystery of it all, like discovering the stuff yourself. It's like, oh, this Pichu just appeared, and like
you
all that
didn't
kind of
know
stuff.
that.
Yeah, nah,
You know.
but
I do like this. Like I say, we're probably not going to know too much. They'll probably do like a thing where they'll talk about the combat in.
they might do like a little mini direct or something.
Yeah.
Where they do it, they talk about it to an extent. Yeah.
I can see me buying this at launch. Maybe I might even pick up Sticker Star soon, just to sort of play it. And
we have got a copy of Colour Splash knocking around. We got it really cheap a while ago, didn't we? I think we got it for like a tenner or something. But you haven't played it yet.
Sticker Star I got for like a £5, so I was quite lucky there. So it's like, oh well, no harm, no foul.
Yeah. I guess that's the advantage of the games not being super well received, is they actually go down in price.
Yeah, I mean, while I think the Paper Mario games at their strongest points are probably better than even Mario RPG and Mario and Luigi series, I think that Mario and Luigi has been more consistent.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's a way more consistent series. And so I think like if you want a good RPG adventure, and you've already gone through the Mario RPG, of course, you are going to you could pick up basically any of those Mario and Luigi games. But I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Like I like it almost looks open worldish to me. It kind of looks like you can just explore like whole like massive landscapes, and
it reminds me of 1,000 Year Door a bit.
I think that's maybe where what they're trying to evoke is like that game in particular, like the audience in the battles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I really hope they try I just hope they're like, I don't know. I don't really Yeah. As I say, the only one I've played is the Wii one, but you've got more experience with both the original two, haven't you?
Yeah, and Super Paper Mario as well.
Hmm.
And the amount of time I put towards a 1,000-Year Door,
Oh yeah.
especially long after I've done the post game, I was up and down the place looking for the recipes and that.
Yeah. I think that's where like the newer games probably faltered. There was just less RPG to them. There was less
certainly.
grinding. There was, you could complete them a lot quicker. There wasn't as much like upgrading to do or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what made it fun. Even in Super Paper Mario, it was still very RPG-ish.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was a platformer, but it was like an action, a bit like Zelda 2, I guess.
Yeah.
And I like that. I'd like to see it come to Switch, but I don't know how they would do that now because it really relied on the pointer. I suppose it could be done, but don't think they would. They probably remake 1,000-Year Door before they did that.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't just straight up do that. When everyone was moaning about the previous games, it's like, all right, fine, just have the one you really like again. I'm surprised they just didn't do that, to be honest. Like
that would have been fine by me.
Yeah, I think people would have been happy with that.
1,000-Year Door double pack or something.
Great. Oh, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, I'd be well up for that. But whoa, yeah. So I don't know. I just really like Nintendo's way of just going, right, this game you didn't know about exists and it's coming out very soon.
Yep.
I like that. I wish more companies did that.
Yeah, I mean, same here. I'm getting sick of all this, like I think Sony's one of the worst for it.
Yeah.
You hear about these projects, and then they're not going to come out for 4 years, and they're just going to keep every E3. They're going to just pull it out again.
Here's another elaborate trailer for this game that we've literally shown you 5 minutes of in the last 2 years.
Yeah. It's just like, just pack it in, shut up about it until it's nearly done, and then people actually stay excited about it.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to keep the hype, because the problem with announcing them so late is the hype dies down, and by the time it's come out, I think they're hoping the hype comes back up again. But I think it works better if you just announce a game, release, done.
Well, it's like this. If this wasn't coming out for a year, I don't know if I would have really been able to drill up the hype still.
Exactly. It's like, it's a whole year away. I'll probably forget about it. There might be other stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
But
I can clear my schedule now and be like, it's coming out in a couple of months. I can play this soon. Better get ready.
Yeah. It's a good. I think it's a good strategy, and I don't honestly understand why anyone else does it. I don't.
No, because I don't see the benefit. Pre-orders are okay in theory, but it's not like they take any money out of anyone's bank account yet. So
that's what I mean. I think that Tony Hawk remake, I don't think that's coming out till the end of the year, but like the second they announce it. September. Okay, so it's a few months.
Way off.
But too bad. I mean, it's a remake, so it shouldn't take that long. But
I mean, there's some games like the Tony Hawk thing and the Paper Mario where you're not really capable. It's not really the right type of game to be hyping up for years anyway.
No, I suppose
Smash Brothers, I could see how I could understand how you could justify that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because you can talk about stuff during development more.
Yeah. That makes sense.
There's going to be a lot to talk about.
Well, it clearly works for Smash because that's what they do, and it works.
Oh yeah.
But
I just kind of wish they didn't reveal everything before the game comes out, because I feel like they take a bit of the wind out of it. I'd like to not know every single character that's coming to it. It'd be nice to play it and then.
I know that in the competitive level they don't care about that element. They just care about the competitiveness of characters.
Yeah.
But there are different demographics with Smash. That is sort of the whole point of Smash.
Yeah.
And some of us don't like to know all the reveals.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in my case, ever since the original, I would already learn about everything that was in the game before I played through most of it anyway. Because with the original, I had one of the few Nintendo Power magazines I had a Smash Brothers thing in it that showed all these secret characters and how you unlock them. And then with Melee, I got the strategy guide at the same time that I got the game. And it had everything in there. So, in my personal experience with those particular games, I typically like to get excited by seeing most of the stuff that's in the game leading up to the launch.
Hmm.
So like I have all that time to stew on everything that's going to be in the game.
Yeah, as long as there is enough to talk about till release,
Yeah.
that
It really
You know,
depends
get
on the genre,
get
doesn't
really
it?
excited about. In my personal experience, I tend to like that more than leaving myself guessing as to everything that's going to be in the game all the way up until launch. And even if I
It's a
don't get the
preference.
game,
I'm the other way around.
and even if I don't,
I
don't get
Yeah.
the game immediately, you have to remember we're living in the age of the internet now. So
Yeah,
someone
it's
is going to,
impossible to not get
People
spoiled
are-
and things.
people are, as soon as people do find out, they're going to tweet and YouTube this.
Oh yeah, you'd have to be there at
anyway.
launch.
Yeah.
But like it's, I mean, I remember me with the original Smash when that came out. My friend had it, and I was like, "Oh, this is like Power Stone." You know, I'd
Nice.
not heard of this game at all.
I
before
like
then.
you.
So yeah. So Power Stone was one of my favourite sort of party games at the time. So I was like, "Oh, I'm up for that."
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything. I found
Hmm.
it really weird to begin with because I was like, "It's a
It is
jump
strange.
button. It's not just
Yeah,
up."
the
Mm.
control still.
Odd.
Yeah.
me out.
They're natural
Yeah.
now, but at the time this was very different. And
Yeah.
but when I got my head around it, and yeah, all the surprise, like, look, I didn't know a lot of these characters as well because like Earthbound didn't come out here. So when Ness was an unlock, I was like, I don't know who that is.
Who is that?
No bloody
When
clue.
I got Melee, Melee was
Sorry.
almost my introduction to Nintendo franchises for the most part, because my last Nintendo console before, well, I had Game Boys, but before the GameCube, my last Nintendo console was the NES. So I
No.
completely skipped over SNES and N64.
Wow.
So playing Melee was like all these characters I didn't know. I didn't know Star Fox. I didn't know Earthbound. I didn't know Metroid. I didn't know any of them. Like, it was
Yeah.
all new to me, and it was just like, oh, this is what Nintendo is. Okay, I've been missing out. You know, it was nice.
I think the characters I didn't really know at first glance was like Ness, as I mentioned, and I didn't know Captain Falcon. I played F-Zero.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
you know F-Zero, you don't exactly see Captain
Yeah.
Falcon in it.
No,
You know, so I was like,
yeah.
Not unless you held on to the instruction manual like I did.
yeah.
Mm.
And then when Melee came out, obviously the famous ones are Marth and Roy, and obviously I'd never heard of Fire Emblem, but I knew I liked those characters, so I did some research, and I played the Japanese games, tried to play them, and I was sort of muddling through them until we finally got an official English one. And now we can't stop getting Fire Emblem games. You know, I love Fire Emblem, but Christ. Yeah, so I like that, but I understand that certain people do like to get hype themselves up.
I think it depends on the genre. I think fighting game hype makes sense for fighting games.
It does.
It really makes sense. Being able to see what kind of moves they do. Like some of the stuff they've been doing with Mortal Kombat recently. I don't care for Mortal Kombat, but those trailers are hype as shit. Friggin' RoboCop's in it now.
Yeah.
RoboCop.
RoboCop's a good idea.
But it looks but when you actually see him in the game, it's like, wow, they actually came up with some really clever moves for him, and there's actually some really good fan service and stuff. It's like, wow, okay, that's awesome. Yeah.
To be fair,
exactly.
To be fair, if I hadn't seen the trailer and someone just told me, "Oh, RoboCop's in Mortal Kombat 11," I'd be like, "Oh, all right."
That's
but
dumb.
because I actually saw footage, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is pretty hype."
That is pretty cool, yeah. And they show him fighting with fighting the Terminator. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I was glad they did that.
Yeah.
So RoboCop versus Terminator remake, please. So just saying.
Yeah, that'd be alright.
Yeah.
If they make it play less unfair, less virgin games.
Yeah, less virgin-y, and the Mega Drive version as well. Because this one's a bit crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I guess that was the news, really. I guess another little thing that I've been seeing about is there's rumours going about that the PlayStation 5 is going to be officially properly revealed on June the 4th.
Oh,
and apparently they're going to have a massive show for it with lots of games. This is just like rumours at the moment, but it sounds like they're going to do exactly what they did with the PS4, where they had that like 2-hour-long show where they showed off Dreams for the first time and all that stuff. So that should be interesting. And I think that can segue us into this final little chat I was thinking of, is with like the next gen basically right around the corner. It's apparently still going to, both consoles are still due for this holiday, this Christmas. Excluding like game sequels and stuff, I'm not talking about games, but like the actual hardware, what does everyone want from next gen basically? What would they love to see? What improvements from this gen would they want to see? Well, what do they want to see that is lacking nowadays in the current consoles, if possible?
Well, okay, because we sort of mentioned this, we started this discussion last night on.
That's what inspired it.
Yeah. I suppose basically because I'm not that much of in a hurry to rush into the next gen because I can't afford it. I'm happy to wait a little while, which is pretty much always the case with me now.
Same here.
But the one thing I'm excited for, which is what I mentioned last night, was I love VR, like absolutely adore it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next gen of VR hardware. And we discussed some of the stuff that's been sort of lightly discussed about PSVR 2, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah, there's there's patterns out there.
Yeah. Like you mentioned stuff about like finger tracking technology and stuff like that, and I was talking about how I would, I love the PSVR, but it is using sort of technology from last gen with the move controllers, and that old camera. So it's cool, but it does have some major flaws, and one of the flaws is the fact that like if you're using quite a lot of VR games have guns, don't they? And one of the cool things about VR is looking down the sights of your gun. But in PlayStation VR, that's actually kind of awkward because your move control light will go in front of your headset light, and then that will sometimes wig your game out. Like your arm will start to go crazy because obviously it's sort of like it works for about a second or two, and then eventually it goes, oh no, where's the headset gone?
I've seen so many cases of like. I've seen so many cases of like where they track the PlayStation 4 controller and the controller just flies away.
Yes.
I remember that happening a few times when you were playing VR and the controller's just like, nope, I'm gone now. Bye.
That's right,
it just flies away from your hands. It's just like, I'm still holding it, but it's over there.
Exactly. And like I know that we've already started to see I know it was the what's it called? Is it the Oculus Quest?
Yes.
That's like the second gen of the Oculus Rift, and that's already starting to show like improvements with things like you don't necessarily have to have all cameras in the top of the room anymore to scan where you are. Instead, they actually focus on having the camera in the headset looking out. And I saw some of the tech demo stuff for that where people were like basically running and then like towards a wall. And it would have, internal systems that would tell you, watch out, a wall's coming up, and you'll know when to stop. And I thought that was really cool. Because I remember I played the Vive years ago now, and one of the first things I did was put a dent in the wall where I punched the wall.
Oh, yeah. I remember that happening. That was at EAG, wasn't it?
I did that there as well, didn't I?
You bashed your head in something, yeah. I think it was that We Play VR.
I remember you punched the wall, didn't you, Gagaman?
Yeah, that happened.
This was actually
with the 5 controller, just. I was like caressing it in my hands, like, oh no, I broke it.
It's really funny footage.
Yeah,
it happened around Five Siem Prince's. We were around her mum's, and she had the Vive set up. And she did the whole thing of like going around with the controller, scanning the room, which was a huge palaver anyway. But even despite scanning the play area, I still managed to dent this wall by punching the controller into it when I was playing this. It was a cool little dungeon crawler game. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me now, but it was quite fun. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing like that improve, and if the PSVR can do that kind of thing, because 2 things I want is that like camera facing outwards and like scanning the room in that kind of way as much as possible. And the other thing is wireless, because that's what the Quest does as well.
If you could get wireless, that would be amazing.
Yeah, obviously wireless comes with its own sort of Yeah,
issues.
was it an entirely new ball bag of yeah, with things like lag and input latency, all that kind
And
of stuff.
battery.
Yeah.
And exactly. But just the way that the wires hang off of all of the current VR systems it really takes you out, like, because they're heavy, bulky wires and they hang off your shoulder, and it just takes you out. And like
Yeah.
sometimes, because I play a lot of the PS VR stuff, I'm sort of sitting down on the sofa. I either have it on my back going round, and it's sort of sometimes I sit on the wires, when I'm moving about,
Yeah, you can't see them.
or it goes round the front of me and it goes under my armpit, which is really uncomfortable, or
Ugh.
over my shoulder, and then it gets sort of
Yeah.
stuck when I move my neck around.
Oh,
So
God.
it's cumbersome and
Yeah.
it's quite dangerous as well.
Mm.
So yeah, basically that's my number one thing, because I'm not
That's cool.
worried about rushing into next gen. I'm happy with the current gen for a little while longer until some incredible games come out, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, for now I just want to sit back and I want to see VR improve, because I adore VR. I really do. I think it's ridiculous and immersive when you want it to be, depending on the title.
And if you've got full finger tracking, just imagine the ridiculous, just like stuff you'll be able to do with just full finger tracking. It's going to be
yeah. So that's what I want to see.
more VR. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think for me, I really want, and this is more to the developers than Sony themselves. I want to see more targeting performance over graphics.
Yeah.
Because
I'd like to see
let's
that.
be honest, we're there now graphically.
We're getting to the point where it's diminishing returns each gen. Like, we're not going to see that much improvement. Their main thing they're touting for next gen at the moment is lighting and like making everything realistically lit without having to bake the lighting in with like art assets. They can just do it in engine, and it just the light knows where to go.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know if I care that much.
No, exactly. I don't think it really makes a huge difference to gameplay. It's just there to look fancy,
Like, what do you think's more important, getting better lighting or actually having a game that runs at 60?
Yeah.
Rather have the 60.
I'd rather have the 60 any day of the week.
I have seen some cases of they were saying with like the Xbox Series X that, like, for example, like Dirt, they're not only looking to make a mode that's pure 60 FPS, but also 120 FPS.
Oh.
So
Seems
you
like
might start to it does seem like a reach, but that'll probably be like at 720p or something. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see if developers do try to make like solid 60 FPS modes. That'd be very nice.
I'd like to see if they can't do like strictly focusing performance, at least give us options.
Oh yeah, options should be the go ahead now. Like, PCs have been doing it forever, consoles have been doing it for the last gen or so.
Even if it's just like performance mode or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would like to see like a decent option suite of turning off SSAA and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to have certain levels of anti-aliasing and all that.
Yeah.
If my PS5's only going to be so strong, let me decide how fast I want my game to be.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah.
I think I could.
Yeah,
totally
and
that.
and beyond that, I'd like to see more of a focus on stopping depreciation of games. I think we've gone on long enough where we're like, oh yeah, we're not going to support backwards compatibility. I know PS5 is going to do that with PS4.
Yeah.
I just hope they put a bit more effort into putting PS2 games, PS1 games.
Yes, PS3 games. It should be
PS3 games.
Like, the only way you can get PS3 games on the 4 is with that PS Now thing, like streaming them from another PS3, and that's not good enough. They need to find some way. Like, I almost feel a little bit. I feel like I should have got into the Xbox, because the stuff they've been doing with backwards compatibility. You can buy Daytona USA on the Xbox 360 right now for about £1.60, and it'll work on your Xbox One, and it'll work on your Xbox Series X when that comes out. And it's like, that's all you have to do. Just make it so everything from previous system works on a new one.
Like, I'd love something like PSP, for example, is dead. And it's dead, and so is Vita. It's just dead. And like they're probably never ever going to go back to it, at least for the foreseeable future. So those games are gone to history, especially the digital ones, you know. And so I know putting Vita games or PSP games, especially on PS5, is a bit of an ask. But like, if you had like an internal upscaler,
I mean, they've
for
technically got that PSP emulator that they use for PS4 remasters, haven't they?
yeah,
That is
So-
just an upscale emulator, like Parappa the Rapper and Loco Roco and all those games. They're just 4K versions of PSP emulation.
yeah. Because I mean, like, if
The
you emulate
assets added in.
PSP or PS Vita and you can upscale the internal resolution, you're going to get nice looking 3D models.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah.
It's plenty fun. It's not going to look like a mess.
Ah.
You know, maybe some of the sprites will, but
Yeah.
you know,
Like everything, I'd say everything from like Dreamcast and PS2 onwards is perfectly upscalable.
Yep.
When you get into like PS1 and all like the warpy textures and sort of like the low poly stuff, that upscaling and stuff doesn't always super benefit it. And sometimes, in some cases, PS1 games look better when they're low resolution because they were made for that resolution.
yeah,
But
yeah. I would like to see that. I feel like it's gone on long enough. Movies and such, you can buy movies from basically the start of movies now. You know,
for the most part, yeah.
for the most part,
There's still
apart from ones
plenty
with
that you
visual
can't.
loss. Yeah.
Yeah.
And games, it's just like it's pot luck if they can be bothered. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Yeah.
One of my
And,
favorite, the thing that sold me on the PlayStation 3, the reason I bought one over an Xbox is I had PS1 and PS2 games, and the PS3 played both, and I was like, "Yep, that's perfect." This
Some
is
of them did.
basically, the one I had, my original one did. The
60.
the big brick thing, massive
Yeah.
heavy one. So it was like, oh, it's like 3 consoles in one, and a DVD player, and a Blu-ray player. Done, sorted. That makes it worth the 300 something pounds it was. You know,
Oh, yeah,
it justified it.
Yep. So I think that is more important, and I think devs just don't think people care. But I think like all Sony or the console developers don't think we care, and just do.
There are plenty. There are definitely plenty of people out there that don't care for old games, like casual gamers who just buy the latest FIFA and throw out the last one, and they only want what's new. But there is plenty of us that like to be able to just play everything we've ever played.
Well, if
like,
they can
on that
sink
architecture.
however many millions into Ghost of Tsushima or whatever it's called, which is obviously not going to attract like the FIFA people and things like that. There are demographics who, and outside of that, I'd like to see, in terms of the VR realm, I'd like to see more full experirences, because a lot of it still feels like demos of VR.
Experiences, as they call them, They're always like, because even that L.A. Noire, as great as it is, it's not the full game. It's just bits of it, isn't
it's a real shame as well, because they missed out on some of the cases that could have worked in VR, which would have been really fun as well. It did seem like the amount of cases available compared to how much content is in the vanilla game was a bit of a letdown. And do you know what really annoyed me? I think I mentioned this as well. Was there isn't a free roam option, which is really silly. Because
so you can't just drive around the town.
Yeah, which the original game had,
Yeah.
and also some of the trophies in that VR experience, in the VR case files, they encourage you to go around the map. So, like, you have to sort of half awkwardly load up a case and then, like, basically have your partner yelling in your ear because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and driving around the city. Just put in a bloody free roam, for God's sake.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I think one of the reasons they make the games quite limited and don't have like too much length is they don't want people to be in the VR headset for hours and hours at a time. Like, it's kind of discouraged.
Yeah, but then you got Skyrim.
Yeah, which is that's one of the rare cases where it is the full fat game, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually have spent about 6 hours straight in a VR session of Skyrim once.
Yeah. I mean, it would be enough to put a warning up every now and again, every hour or so, to tell you.
Like just do like the Wii did. Oh, take a break. Ooh.
Yeah. But it's like Ace Combat. They've got a mission pack, but all they've really done is made it first person. You could have done that for the whole game in VR.
Yeah.
It's the
same with Gran Turismo Sport. Like, it's got a VR mode, but it's literally like a very limited selection of courses.
If you want me to have faith in VR, you need to show me that there are proper full game experiences, or it's just a toy. You know,
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're right. Yeah.
and
no, I totally agree.
I want it to be a proper experience. I want it to be worth it, but they need to prove it to me, and they haven't
Yes.
yet. And you know, it's
Yeah.
the only real proper full game experience seems to be Beat Saber, and that's because the scope is so limited that they're able to make a full game
I think
out of it.
arcade games make the most sense on there. Like,
Yeah,
if they can do
Sure.
like, this is silly, but if they just did like Afterburner Climax or something in VR,
that'd be so
that
cool.
would probably make me sick, but I don't care. Like
Space
like all
Harrier.
that,
That's what I was saying. I think I said it on the last podcast, but I was saying about how it's good to focus on the last gen games because they're the ones that aren't so hard to do. Which is why Skyrim VR, because that was based on not the special edition. You know, it's based on the last gen. That worked. But when they did Fallout 4 VR on the Vive, it was a bloody disaster. Like. And I think people are happy to stick with last gen graphics as long as, like you say, they are full games because it is doable.
Because
Skyrim is a
VR
perfect
does add a lot as well, even if the graphics are not as current as you would like them to be. The immersion of the 3D and having the actual depth in front of you and actually interacting with things.
I mean, experience.
Yeah, it adds to it.
Yeah, that's the thing. All joking aside, when I was playing LA Noire, like when I was practicing it on my own, and I wasn't trying to be quote entertaining or anything like that. I was just enjoying being in these environments. That it adds the extra, just everything, to being in those environments, even if they are dated graphics. Because LA Noire, it's not based on the HD remake; it's based on the original PS3 version. But just being in those environments is so much fun, and like when it comes to the horror stuff as well, that's really really intense. So the VR is there, but like you say, there's not enough games that.
And this is more the fault of developers than it is Sony.
Yeah.
And now Sony are partially responsible because they can make their own games. They are capable, even if they would lead you to believe that they don't make games. So they could make their own full VR experiences.
They make about 6 games a gen at this rate.
Yeah. So it's like, if you get your finger out, Sony, if you're listening.
We know you are.
We know you are. I know you always do. If they make some proper games, I'll buy your headset.
Makes sense.
That's my 2 cents on PS5.
I mean, I'm a huge VR fanboy, but I totally agree. Yeah.
Like I say, I agree with the sentiment. I do. I just need the proof.
There needs to be a lot more full games, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be happy with I would be happy if they just did something like a PC mod for VR Sport for Morrowind, for God's sake.
Well, yeah.
That's how
that'd be
far back
great.
I'd go.
I don't even need games with a lot of scope. I just need to know that they're making games that have a proper
Full games.
games. Yeah, like I say, arcade is probably best. Do that then. Don't make half-ass bigger games. Full-ass small games.
Like Tetris Effect.
Yeah, like Tetris Effect.
Hell, give me Space Harrier.
Yeah.
I'll be up for that.
Imagine a first-person version of Space Harrier. That would be terrifying.
Or even if it was just like you're sitting down in the arcade cabinet and you've got all the other noises from other arcades playing.
I would love a virtual
M2, like Sega Ages Classics, but like VR edition, and you just got you can get in the R360 and it actually spins around you.
I've been saying for a really long time they should do a Yakuza minigame collection where you walk around all of the Kamurocho doing every minigame that they've currently put in the Yakuza games. But in
if
VR.
they could do a full game of Yakuza in VR.
I mean, obviously
or even Shenmue. Like, can they just do Shenmue in VR? Like, it doesn't even have to look any better. Just Shenmue 1 and 2 in VR.
Oh, God, yeah.
Can you imagine how amazing that
would be? So good.
Yeah.
Get on it, modders. I know you're listening.
VR support. All those creepy faces right up in your face.
But yeah, imagine I thought it'd be cool, like call it something like Kamurocho Nightlife. Wouldn't that be so cool?
Oh, that'd
you just
be
go
amazing.
around playing darts, all the different gambling games, mahjong, just everything. But
God, how would that ping pong game work in VR?
You're gonna have to manually go and look at that chess.
You're just gonna have to go walk around the table.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm just putting my stereo mode on. Shut up. It's fine.
I'm raising my hate.
So, what is anyone else got any thoughts on what they want to see out of
Harry?
PS5?
I mean, I got one.
It doesn't
It's
have
not
to be PS5, just next gen in
Oh,
general.
next
But
gen,
yeah.
It's not much, but I think I don't have much that I'd like to see from the next consoles. About the only thing I can think of would be to maybe they could afford to simplify their menus a little more.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, just the main menus. Just have everything. Have all the most important stuff a little more consolidated. Make it clear where you find certain things, and not and not like have one thing open up into a billion other things. That's one of the things that I love about the Nintendo Switch. Actually, the Nintendo Switch menu, it needs a lot of work. It's missing a lot of essential things. I feel like most notably some themes.
Yeah, or some folders so you can organize your games in some fashion.
Folders. It needs that. It had the Wii U and the 3DS had all this stuff, and I don't understand why they don't do it with the Switch as well.
Do you know
Anyways,
my favorite menu? I think I love the Wii menu.
I feel like the Wii U menu was great until they stripped all the online features away, and now it's just like bare. Like you can't even have a bunch of Mii's come running in now. It's just a bunch of like offline ones that just tell you about like tutorials about the console, and that's all you get now. There's no Me First community stuff coming up. Yeah, I miss that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways,
sorry, carry on.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
But anyways, going back to the Nintendo Switch, for all their menus faults, they managed to make it very clear where you can find everything you need.
Yep.
They have a little news section, so if you want to look up some news based on the games you like and the games you're expecting to see later, you go in there instead of like the PlayStation 4, I mean, where you select a game and it opens up with loads of news all around the start game button. So I typically, at first glance, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I just press the button straight away to get the game going.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, there's too much clutter on the current gen, like the PS4 and the Xbox One. There's too many adverts, just too much noise,
I miss the blades on Xbox.
Simplicity.
Not to mention, if you do have to update games on the Switch, they clearly show you on the game's icon that it's downloading an update and how much of it's been downloaded. Whereas with the PlayStation 4, almost said PlayStation 5 again, you have to go into the notifications menu up at the top and look in there to see everything that's being downloaded. And even then, the list of everything being downloaded is separated into its own other list.
Oh god, it's just like the PS3. The PS3 had some really horrible ways of getting to stuff. Like just finding your download list was such a chore.
Like the PlayStation 4 is just lists and lists and lists. And I really do wish that they just continued the cross media bar from the PSP and the PlayStation 3. Because that worked so well.
It was nice.
Instead, they had to cluster everything into a small space.
They should definitely take inspiration from the Nintendo Switch's less is more approach to the layout. Because I don't know why, but I just find the Switch layout really satisfying. I think it's the sound effects. I just love all the little.
You know what?
All that stuff. I love it. Like, and it's just so satisfying to just run around the icons and stuff. I don't know why. It's all the sound effects and just the little Nintendo touches.
You know what though? It's not just the Switch. I don't think Nintendo
Dreamcast as well. Dreamcast had the same thing.
Well, I mean, there was a lot less going on with the Dreamcast, so not so much you had to put into the menu.
Of course, but at the same time, it just had a lot. It was simplistic, but it had a lot of charm to it. It had a lot of nice sounds. It had nice little animations, and it was just pleasant to navigate, even though there wasn't much to do on the Dreamcast HUD thing. I guess,
I know. That's why Nintendo. That's why I think Nintendo really should have themes in the Nintendo Switch, because as nice as the Switch's menu is, it's way too basic for its own good.
I kind of
Nicely
I like it
organized,
myself.
way too basic.
I like the Vita one quite a bit.
But you know what? I'd
Sure.
rather have a basic menu than an overly complicated menu.
Yeah.
I feel like the 360
But-
after the update was the worst I've ever seen. Maybe the Xbox One as well.
Oh yeah, that was
Those are
rough.
nightmares.
With
Well,
squares.
I don't really know what the first Xbox 360 menu was like because
The
I wasn't
like the
really
blades,
on
wasn't
Xbox
it?
360 back then. Yeah, I think it was the blades or something. See,
Mhm.
I got my Xbox when the Kinect came out, when they had that second update.
Yeah, so that was once they'd already changed all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the blades. I thought it was quite nice.
Oh,
one,
this
That's the blades thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a simple
On the
one.
That's
Discord.
the
yeah.
one
To
I
be
missed,
fair,
yeah.
To be fair, the third and final menu update for the Xbox 360, which uses the same design they'd later use for the Xbox One, I think that was a really nice design too, in terms of keeping everything organized in a simple and clean way. Certainly, I mean, I know people get a lot of give it a lot of flack for the fact that they introduced advertisements on that menu, but at least they keep the advertisements small.
Yeah, I don't like it, like the advertisements. I do think it clutters it a bit, but I understand what you're saying. One thing I really hate is when you go into the shop menus of like the PS4 or something, and it just tanks. For some reason, it just can't handle a shop menu.
They haven't learned for some reason. PS4's store is no better than the PS3's. The PS3 one was so sluggish. Like it was a chore to look at the shop. Like an absolute chore.
Which is not what you
it
want.
put you off even looking. Like it was just like everything on the PS3 was just really sluggish. Like
And then
even
the
just trying to
PlayStation-
load your achievements took like 10 minutes. It was absurd.
Exactly, it took forever. And then the PlayStation Vita store, the PlayStation store for the Vita didn't have that problem at all.
No, it's very
strangely.
fast. Yeah.
Not to mention the Vita shop actually had some very pleasant music to listen to, which is the only time that Sony had ever done that. That was always a Nintendo thing up until then.
Yeah, so I guess like I'd probably agree with that. I think in general, one thing I'd like to see from next gen is just simplicity and speed. Like I want things to be just grab that game, go on the store, grab a game, it's on, done. No annoy. I don't want
way to sum it up.
Also, no like social media stuff all over the place. Not like all this integration with Twitter and stuff. Just keep it nice and simple, like how the Switch does it. Where like if you want to share something to Twitter, it just comes up with a little thing and you tweet it, and that's it. No, like just I like that the PS4 has like the live stream thing. I think that's amazing. They definitely need to keep going in that direction. Definitely do more of that. Definitely have more of the being able to just live stream stuff out and stuff like that. But
You know
just
what?
keep it.
That's another thing I almost forgot about. PlayStation, they had, I think they were the first to do the share button on the controller, which I think is an especially good idea. But the problem is Sony overcomplicated that too, because you have two different ways of pressing it in order to like take screenshots or to record a long video or a short video, and they give you the option of switching how you do it. So like you hold down the button or you quickly tap it to do one thing or you tap it 3 times to do something else. And most of the time I completely forget how it's supposed to work. And I think maybe I'm confusing this with another feature, but you know, that also goes into how Sony overcomplicated this. When you press the share button, in a certain way, it brings up a menu where it asks you what you want to do with the share features. And it's really annoying when I'm trying to take a screenshot because there might be a specific time that's about to pass. So I need it to take the screenshot quickly. So with
I did that as well.
So with Nintendo, when they did the share button with the Switch, they just told you, okay, here's the rules. You tap it once to take a screenshot, you hold it down for a few seconds to take a 30-second video, and that's it. And then if you want to share that on social media, you go into the gallery later, you pick your video and your screenshot, and then you decide where you want to share it and what you want to write. And there you go.
Even
It's
like the video trimming thing's really simplistic and easy to immediately do in a few. You can trim the videos really quickly. It's like.
But Sony has it in their mind where you're in the middle of playing the game, and you're like, oh my goodness, I gotta screenshot this and share it on Twitter. I don't even want to exit the game to do this. I have to do it right now and then get straight back into the game. And so they come up with all sorts of ways to please everyone and with their own sharing habits. But when you try to please everyone like that, one of two things is going to happen. One, nobody's going to like what you do. Or two, you end up catering to a particular niche that likes things a certain way, but most other people, they can't make sense of what they're supposed to do with the tools you've given them.
I think that's just like generally reiterates this idea of just keeping it simple.
Yeah, make it so anyone could just like easily get to things, and don't just clutter stuff. Just don't put too many features everywhere at all times. Just have it like.
And I'd say that in general, like for example, it's a games console. All the social media stuff should be hidden. I have to find that, not that I have to find my games.
Yes, yeah, it feels like the opposite sometimes.
What, you bought your game console to play some games? Get out of here!
I
thought you bought this to browse Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. That should be the one that's deeply hidden, that takes effort to get to. If you're going to do that, don't make it a mission.
We got phones today. We got smartphones. We can do that. We can do most of the social media stuff with our phones. The most important stuff, anyway.
Yeah, I think it's a waste of resources, personally.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Doesn't need to be able to do all the social media stuff and website stuff. I don't need a web browser. Web browsers on like a console was a novelty back when the Dreamcast and the Wii were out, but I feel like it's not really needed now that we've got the internet on our phone in our pocket all the time.
Unless I open a Steam-like sub-window with the browser still up, so I can use it as like a guide or something while I'm playing my game, instead of just fapping about using the home button and then going to the browser. You can't really have them both up at the same time.
Nah, I'd say just get rid of that stuff. Our phones do most of these things now. We don't need.
Yep.
At least when Nintendo did this with the Wii, they had the excuse of launching the Wii like a year or two before smartphones took over the world. So they were hoping to do that sort of thing with the game consoles. Didn't really pan out, so they turned their focus to other areas next time.
Yeah.
And speaking of, when it comes to simplifying menus, I don't think Nintendo has ever once had the issue of overcomplicating anything.
No.
I don't think they've ever once had a bad menu design for any of their consoles or their handhelds.
Not really,
there's always things they could have done better.
I thought the Wii U one was a bit sluggish, like there was a lot of loading in between every screen and that. But otherwise, 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 I think they were fine. 3DS one was really good. I loved the Wii one. I love being able to grab a game, drag it around, and it makes like scratchy noise, and then you drop it down, and they're like little TV channels, aren't they? Like little screens. I love that.
That was what they tried to do with the Wii, and to an extent with the Wii U. They tried to make it like an extension of the TV.
Yeah.
So like when you're familiar with how a TV works, you can figure out the Wii no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think
which also sort of goes into the design of the Wii remote itself.
Yeah.
It was meant to be like a TV remote.
Yeah, of course.
I do think the Switch has sluggish shop menus, just like the PS4 a bit.
Yeah, that's just because it's using a HTML page and like it can't handle all of that stuff. And the layout, that's the one area of the Switch that really needs improving is the shop, because there's no easy way to just look at what's on sale. When you go to the sales section, there's always like 1,000 games on sale. But if you go down the list for so long, it just starts to like completely crash, and
Yeah,
eventually
I
it gives
completely
up.
agree with you there.
They need to just give you some more sorting options at the top. That's all they need to do. It's really easy. Just put sort by price. Done.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
isn't that
and
a thing? Like, it was
You know
actually
what?
better when it launched. It was better when it launched. It had all that sorting stuff. They took it away.
I know
Like-
they did this with the Wii U and 3DS, and they decided we don't need to do that anymore. We don't want anything that reminds people of the Wii U,
Yeah.
except some games like Mario Kart 8.
Like all the games on the Wii U.
Super Mario Brothers.
We'll pretend the Wii U didn't exist by just putting everything that was on the Wii U on this.
Well, most of everything.
Almost
Well-
everything.
When we port New Super Mario Brothers U, we'll still call it Super Mario Brothers U.
For reasons.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's with this U here, Nintendo? Oh,
Fine,
who
shut up.
cares?
It's
Play
fine.
the game.
So it's all right. Yeah. I don't know if anyone else
yeah,
has
I
anything
agree
to add to this. We should probably wrap up soon.
Yeah.
I think I've said my piece already.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah. Don't know if anyone else has got anything to add.
Yeah, I think covered that.
Cool. Yeah. Just make them faster, make them simpler. Just like load times. I'd like to definitely. I know they are saying stuff like,
SSDs,
there'll be like no load times and stuff. It's like that's nice. I'd like to get back to the days where a game just starts, and you're not waiting and waiting and waiting in some of these games. Like they're just absurd.
I'm not holding my breath. I think the SSDs
Me neither.
are used by developers to just cram 4K textures into
Yes.
games.
Yeah.
Asking for them.
Yeah, same with like the frame rate stuff. I feel like instead of aiming for like 60 frames per second, they're just going to aim for like, we've got 4K at 25 frames per second. It's like,
So you know why? It's because when they show you trailers of a game, they want it to look as pretty as they can.
yeah,
Because you're not playing it.
yeah,
You know?
frame rate be damned. Yeah,
Yeah. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter
but
in a
like-
trailer.
Just worry about that for the trailers, man. We'll get over it over time.
Yeah.
I actually like trailers more when they are 60 FPS. That makes them look nice.
too.
That looks nicer to me. Like it's nice and smooth, buttery smooth.
That's true.
Cinematic, remember?
But at the same
Yeah.
time, if your trailer is going to be 60 FPS, then the game better be 60 FPS.
It's funny how we were conditioned like that, isn't it? Like, we expect games to be nice and buttery smooth, but if they do that in films, it looks terrible.
Yeah. It's weird.
Is that weird? It's like the complete opposite. We've got like double standards with that stuff. It's
I
like
think
there's
Yeah, we only
cinematic
seem
games
to
that
like
run at
that.
25 frames per second, but then the movies are better at 25 frames per second. It's
I
what?
think yeah.
It's weird. We only seem to like that in soap operas for some reason.
Well, even then, it just looks awful.
It looks weird. It's too like uncanny. Like,
I guess the
It's,
difference is with games you're playing them,
yeah,
whereas with
interaction.
TV you're not.
You feel the sluggishness.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that's
concept
true.
of-
So that makes all the difference, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess one thing I want from next gen, and this isn't even necessarily to do with the consoles themselves, but just technology full stop, is can TV manufacturers actually take game consoles into consideration when they make them?
Oh, that'd be nice.
Just
I think we
actually
said this
make,
before, but
actually make the TVs. Yeah, I definitely ranted about this before, so I'm not going to go into it this time. But yeah, just make the TV so they got no input lag. Just
Oh, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
just do that and make them so they don't like interpolate the frame rate so it looks like garbage, and just like do all this weird smoothing stuff and make it all just
Careful what
stop.
you wish for though. They will sell them at a premium if they
Yeah.
did, because it'll be for
Mm.
gamers.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the whole
I mean,
it's
TV
like the whole CRT thing, isn't it? Like if
Yeah,
you
it
say
is,
it's
yeah.
it's a nostalgic retro like retro game TV, £500 please.
So you
yeah.
wouldn't be able to flog that for free at a charity shop normally.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you know.
I got my one for £20 a few years ago out of a charity shop. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Right, I guess with that, we should probably wrap up because we've been going for 3 hours.
We were talking about how we didn't know if we had a lot to talk about, but we found the time.
Oh, we certainly did.
I tried to warn you guys not to go off on tangents.
You can
We are
talk.
nothing if not resourceful.
Yeah, we're definitely resourceful for talking a lot about it.
Yes.
I actually thought we were quite on the ball today.
Yeah, we were. We didn't even have much news to talk about, but we still found plenty.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Good.
that's
I
cool.
guess. It was
Yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it's always fun. So that was the Lucky Hit 71st podcast. We'll see you again same time next week, I guess. I've been the Gagaman.
I've been Cherry Terrier.
I've been Murry Curry.
I've been Shelved Gamer.
I've been Hunk Thunder.
And I've been Elk. Wait, no, I've been Captain Clean Hands.
You mean Captain Lewis, right?
No one's gonna get that.
It's an in joke.
Thing.
No, it's not even a British thing. It's a us thing.
Yeah.
It's not even a me thing. I just stole it from you guys.
We knew a guy called Lewis, and he would always run a joke into the ground.
Destroy the joke.
Oh.
So that's whenever you hear us say Lewis the joke.
To the point it entered the vernacular of people who didn't even know him.
That was the
Exactly.
weird
Yeah,
thing.
I didn't know him, but it just
I'm not-
became.
Yeah,
It's part of my
I'm not even-
vocabulary now. I use it all the time around people that don't even know what I'm talking about.
I'm not even joking though, but that is what happened. People we didn't even talk to that much started using it. It became famous. I don't even
Well,
know.
we got famous somewhere at least.
Well, that's the thing about this channel. It's made for Lucky Hit, by Lucky Hit for Lucky Hit.
Everyone else.
And that's fine by us.
Please subscribe.
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh,
Stay
please.
safe out there and wash your hands and all that.
See you later.
And Lewis.
And Lewis.
Please.
Bye, pals.
See ya. Bye.
Good night.
Yep, take care of yourself. Love you.
Oh, boy.